The Georgia Power Lighting Services Agreement for lighting improvements at the Hodgeville and Blue Jay Roads roundabout. Item 2, consideration to approve the Georgia Power Lighting Services Agreement for lighting improvements at Central High School located at 434 Wallace Drive, Springfield. Item 3, consideration to approve the Georgia Power Lighting Services Agreement for roadway lighting improvements at the Hodgeville Road and Goshen Road roundabout. Item 4, consideration to approve an indication of roundabout support form for the proposed roundabout at SR 17 and Jabez Jones Road. Item 5, consideration to approve the Georgia Power Lighting Services Agreement for roadway lighting improvements at the Hodgeville and Colic-Helmy Road roundabout. Item 6, consideration to approve the Georgia Power Lighting Services Agreement for roadway lighting improvements at the Hodgeville Road and Goshen Road roundabout. Item 7, consideration to approve an intergovernmental lighting agreement with Georgia Department of Transportation for the installation, operation, and maintenance of roundabout lighting at the SR 30 and Colic-Helmy Road. Item 8, consideration to approve the Georgia Power Utility Relocation Agreement for work at the Old Augusta Road and Logistic Parkway roundabout. Item 9, consideration to approve the Georgia Power Lighting Services Agreement for roadway lighting improvements at SR 30 and Midland Road roundabout. Item 10, consideration to approve to ratify and affirm the Georgia Power Utility Relocation Agreement for work on Blue Jay Road at Creekside Elementary. Item 11, consideration to approve FY27 amendments to the inmate to labor agreements with the cities of Springfield, Rincon, and Port Wentworth for 1-year renewals and fee updates based on FY27 correctional officer salary averages and service delivery strategy cost share adjustments. Item 12, consideration to approve to ratify and affirm the renewal of the Association County Commissioners of Georgia Interlock Risk Management Agency, ACCG, IRMA, property and liability insurance coverage for Effingham County for the policy period of July 1st, 2026 through July 1st, 2027. Item 13, consideration to ratify and affirm an affiliation agreement between Effingham County Emergency Medical Services and Rescue Training Incorporated, sponsored by the Chatham County Paramedic Consortium for the purpose of providing clinical training opportunities for paramedic students within Effingham County EMS operations. Item 14, consideration to approve to reappoint Rebecca Boston to the Coastal Regional Commission Council as the non-republic representative for Effingham County. Item 15, consideration to approve to reappoint Rebecca Boston to the Department of Behavioral Health and Development Disabilities Advisory Board. Those are all the items. I'll entertain a motion if no discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. Moving to new business, item 1. This is the discussion of a budget request for the tax assessor's office, our clerk of court, magistrate court, and solicitor's office. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Tax assessors up first, right?
He'll go first.
Did they need to go first?
Yeah.
Neil? Okay. Good evening. I have included a brief salary study from 4 different counties, Bullitt, Liberty, Bryan, and Effingham, of our current pay scale rates. And we are below the other 3 in all categories. And looking at it, it looks like about a $2 an hour raise would, I guess, put us on a better playing field with the other counties. And also, a way to fund this is I did have 15 employees on staff, and I would like to change that to 14. One is has retired, and would like to use those funds to cover that raise. If y'all have any questions.
I think we're good. Any questions for Niels at all?
Who did this? Who did the salary study? HR or you?
I did. It's on I forget what website, but it's public information. There's a company that goes around. It's information from 2024. but I put ours in, based on 2025's, information. Public website y'all can go to. I think it's like openpay.gov or something like that. They go around and get salaries from all the, city governments, county governments, Board of Education, things like that.
And this request is for your entire staff.
Yes, sir. Just $2 across the board.
Tim, we just paid for a subscription type service, right?
Yes,
For-
and we included in the budget to start, actually, we've already started to do go from department to department to do effectively a salary study. The information that we get from the service is open record quarterly, to make sure that we have the accurate information. So the goal is to get as many as we can, if not all done, all departments done by the end of the calendar year, and make it effective January 1st. And if we're unable to do that, make effective whoever we've gotten done January 1st. And then whoever gets completed afterwards to backdate those, any salary adjustments to January 1st, when they're completed.
So this budget will cover those potential
Yes.
Increase in
But
salaries.
we don't know what they are right now,
That's
so
right.
we're just gonna simply do an amendment,
Sure.
to, make all of those adjustments.
Very good.
And so, but you're requesting that this raise starts July 1. Is that correct?
That's what I was requesting, yes.
And depending on what it is, there is a COLA and merit of 5% that goes in effect. So at least some of it should get taken care of in that process.
When does that go into effect? Is that
July 1st.
July 1st?
Well, it's assuming that we do have a requirement that the employee annual assessments are completed for the merit portion of it. Automatically, the COLA gets in there. But if your employees, if you have all of their annual assessments done, the merit can take effect July 1st too.
Okay, and COLA's what, 3?
COLA's it's 2.5 and 2.5.
2.5 and 2.5, okay, gotcha.
With the merit, you have a little bit more flexibility on where you can kind of give more
Spread it out
one
amongst
and then
department.
others less if they're, let's say, new employees.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we're doing a salary study for all, I'm assuming all employees, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yes.
Very good. Anything else, Neil?
That's it. That's
All
all I
right.
had.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Who we got next? Walt?
Good evening. Most of you know me, but I'm Walt Lawson, the Clerk of Superior and State Court. I'm here for the same reason, to talk a little bit about budget tonight, and have put together a little bit of a PowerPoint to go along with what I'm speaking on. Stephanie, how do I?
Can I stop you a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's me, can y'all hear him clearly? Or is that? I just-
a little quiet.
It's a little quiet, and I
Okay.
just want to make sure that mic is on. It is on. Okay,
Let me move it closer.
all right, well, maybe, okay, well, good then.
I have to lean in.
Because I had trouble with Mr. Groover too, and it might just be my old hearing, but just want to make sure we can hear it, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, it's not working. You can go to the next one. All right, and first I'm gonna kind of give you guys, because a lot of times we get the question, what does the clerk's office do, or what does the clerk of court do? Next slide, Ms. Stephanie. All right, elected as Superior Court Clerk, I'm appointed to serve Superior and State Court, Jury Management, Board of Equalization, Real Estate, Notary Administrator, and Records. And according to Georgia law, the clerk of court is to keep all the books, papers, dockets, and records belonging to the office with care and security, and to keep papers filed, arranged, numbered, and labeled so as to be of easy reference. Next slide. All right, within my office right now, we do have an open position, but you have me, my chief deputy, Kelly, and then 10 clerks under us that they range anywhere from superior, state, to real estate. Next slide. All right, the revenue that the clerk's office brings in Superior, our main source of revenue is real estate filings, intangible and transfer tax. Also included are civil superior divorce, notary, trade name, FIFA, and state probation fees. Funds are distributed monthly and the account zeroes out each month. In state court, our main source is traffic and state court criminal cases. Included in this account are state court civil filing fees and county probation collection on fines. Funds are also distributed monthly and those accounts are zeroed out. Our garnishment account for employers to make payments to plaintiffs on garnishment cases. The money collected each month is to be paid to plaintiff each month. This account also zeroes out at the end of each month. And then our registry account. It is a holding account for monies where a judge's order is needed to distribute the funds. And here right now, we're missing one. She was out on maternity leave, but this is a picture and a list of those that are within my office. How does the Superior Court and State Court office assist you? As we went through earlier, we do superior and state civil and criminal filings, adoptions, which is one of the few good days we have in court, divorces, garnishments, real estate, child support matters, liens and FIFAs, notaries, traffic, recordings of DD 214s, trade names, UCCs, jury, and Board of Equalization. Concerns about growth in the clerk's office. This was actually in the last commissioners meeting, this came up. The sheriff's office currently receives an average of 7,300 calls for service per month. Other court offices have asked for additional personnel as well in the courthouse. Currently figured in the last meeting to be 4,700 approved buildable subdivision lots. Also in the last board meeting, an estimated total lot count, included completed development, is 6,583. Total lot count, excluding completed development, was 620 at that time. And also at the last meeting, an additional 1,000 home subdivision was voted on and passed. This was also, the growth is such a concern that we have added several new positions throughout the county. A big bulk of those being with public safety, with 2 for EMS and 20 for the sheriff's office. Population growth in the county. Based on the 2020 U.S. Census, Effingham County had an approximate population of 64,769. Today in 2026, the population of Effingham County, Georgia is estimated to be approximately 74,397 residents. This is based on recent U.S. Census Bureau population estimates and Federal Reserve economic data. Realistically, I think we all can agree we're probably pushing closer to 80,000. With these numbers and the increase in new homes in Effingham County, not only is the workload increasing, but also the population. According to Friends of John Burns website, Effingham County is one of the fastest growing counties in Georgia. At its current pace, Effingham sits in the top 3% of counties nationwide and makes it the 10th fastest growing county in the state out of 159 counties. This is my records for the last 3 years that I pulled. As you can see, 2023 and 2025, they stayed kind of close. But then we had a huge increase in 2025. If you look, a big increase in superior civil, child support, superior criminal, state traffic, deeds, liens, and then just overall. Overall, we had almost an additional 3,000 filings within the clerk's office from 2024 to 2025. What does that mean for the clerk courts? More work. What is being requested? Okay. What I did request, I asked for a 10% raise and received the county, or am receiving if passed, the countywide 5% COLA merit raise. That was very much appreciated. And then what I was asking personally, me and not only myself, but other elected officials, we're paid the state mandated minimum per ACCG guidelines down to the penny. We did not receive 2025 or 2026 county COLA merit raises that all other counties' employees received. What I was asking, we are receiving nothing from the state this year. I was asking that we could receive the 2.5% COLA as well, and a 2.5% merit as well as the other county employees. I'm also asking for myself, the 5% county supplement that our elected state court judge and elected solicitor currently receives in addition to their ACCG required minimum. And I ask these, you're good. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't that long ago that I was a $45,000 a year deputy, and I try to, every morning that I get up to come to work, I know that I'm blessed. I feel horrible asking for these numbers, but I do feel like at a 5%, it is very much appreciated. It will help, but when we're currently, just at the last meeting, we approved $400,000 homes. When I was making $45,000 a year, and when we're paying employees $18 to $20 an hour, that's about what they're making. There's no way an employee that lives in our county or wants to live in our county is going to afford homes like this. You're just not going to pay for a $400,000 home at $18 an hour. As far as myself, I don't think we're a minimum wage county. A lot of nights, just Sunday night, I got home from Columbia, South Carolina. Spent the weekend with my oldest. We went and played baseball, or he did. I'm too old now. Got home, I spent about 2 hours on the phone just catching up from the weekend. And I tell people I'm elected 24/7. I didn't stand on the side of the road begging in the rain for an 8 to 5 job. I get that. Jamie and I, we were talking about county business the other day, I think, 9 o'clock at night. So I don't think that's too much to ask, even though as guilty as I feel about it. That's where I'm asking. And then I have, with me, I have letters from 3 of our Superior Court judges. The one that I did not have a letter for, he is here in person, Judge Ronnie Thompson, in support of me. But this letter is from Judge Matthew Hubie. My name is Matthew Hubie, and I'm the newest Superior Court judge in the Ageechee Circuit. I took office at the same time as Effingham County Clerk of Court Walt Lawson. It is my privilege to work with Mr. Lawson and his staff when I am holding court in Effingham County. When I am working in the other 3 counties that make up the circuit, I work with each of those respective clerk's offices as well, so I know what a quality clerk's office you have in Effingham County. Mr. Lawson's office, like all other organizations, rely on quality personnel to run smoothly and efficiently. One of the keys to attracting and maintaining quality personnel is competitive compensation. I hope that you will give your strongest consideration to providing Mr. Lawson with all the financial resources he requires to maintain the standard and performance his office currently provides. And there was a slide, I'm sorry. And then you can go to the next one, Stephanie. This one is from Superior Court Judge Lovett Bennett. Dear sirs and ma'am, this letter is to supplement information which I understand is being provided to you by Clerk of Court Walt Lawson regarding his office workload and recent increases in the number of cases being handled by his office. Although I am not privy to all the various filings, including state court case filings, real estate filings, and non-superior court filings, I can tell you that our superior court workload has never been busier. I regularly attend Effingham County Superior Court weekly and sometimes more than once per week. There are now 4 full-time superior court judges, up from just 3 4 years ago. Each one of these stays very, very busy in Effingham County Superior Court, with numbers approaching nearly half of the circuit's caseload. And there are 4 counties in our circuit, so our numbers just in Effingham are almost half of the entire circuit. Given the population growth in Effingham County, created in large part by expansion of the Port of Savannah, the Hyundai Meta Plant America, Gulfstream Aerospace, and other local plants and manufacturing facilities, it is clear that the clerk's office will continue to need additional personnel and other resources in coming years. If you should have any questions regarding these matters, please feel free to contact me at the address shown below. With kindest regards, I am yours truly, Judge Lovett Bennett, Jr. And this is from, lastly, this is from our Chief Superior Court Judge, Michael Mulder. Dear Commissioners and Mr. Callanan, it is with great pleasure that I am writing this letter on behalf of Mr. Walt Lawson and his staff. With Walt taking over as clerk, the entire atmosphere of the Effingham County Courthouse has changed for the better. Walt has brought in a high level of accountability and professionalism to his office. The Superior Court judges can always rely on Mr. Lawson and his staff to provide an excellent level of service to the court, which in turn enables us to provide better service to the citizens of Effingham County. One of the tangible effects of Walt's leadership is the retention of his staff. Unfortunately, a high turnover in staffing within an organization like the clerk's office hinders the courts in efficiently providing services and reduces the ability of citizens from receiving the help that they deserve in a timely fashion. I have been working in Effingham County since 1995 as an assistant district attorney and superior court judge, and the changes in the county have been amazing. I have no doubt that Effingham County will be experiencing more growth, and a great deal of it, in the immediate future. The only way for the courts to meet the demand is with a proactive and well-run staff clerk's office. I have no doubt that Mr. Lawson and his staff will meet the challenge if provided the necessary resources. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter, and for the continued support you have provided the Superior Court judges. If the court can ever be of assistance, please do not hesitate to call. Sincerely, Judge Michael Mulgrew. And this is, I was going to end with this. As far as the staffing, we are going to have a higher workload, but within the clerk's office, and I'm sure most anywhere, when you have happy staff, you get better work. And I would much rather take the staff that we have trained now and compensate them fairly to where they can live comfortably within Effingham County. Because, like I said, I do remember just a couple of years ago, I was a $45,000 a year deputy that on my off days, I detailed cars, boats, and RVs just to give my family the extra things that I thought that they deserved. So I would much rather compensate a happy staff than try to grow and keep a lower wage for the ones that are there. And I put this, at the end of the day, I love serving the citizens of Effingham County and know that I'm blessed to be in the role that I am. Regardless of what is voted on by the board, I will continue to serve our county to the best of my ability, and I truly will continue to enjoy doing it. Questions?
I just want to clarify, when you said elected officials, that doesn't include us.
Which one, which time?
These elected officials, we're not asking for any more.
Okay.
You mentioned the elected officials are standing with you.
Well, I meant the ones behind me.
I understand. I just want to clarify it for the public. We're not.
And just to summarize, Walt, so in addition to the 2.5 and 2.5, what are you asking for?
There's currently, and it's been in place for years, so through ACCG, the county has the option to do a supplement. And I was asking, it's been, I don't know how many years, but currently the solicitor and state court judge gets a 5% on top of the ACCG minimum, and that's all I was asking for.
So you're looking at the 7.1, 2.5, and 2.5 potential,
Yes, sir.
and then an additional 5%.
Yes, sir. That would
top
be
of
the
it.
supplement that they're getting and the 5% that the rest of not you guys, but the other county employees are getting.
Very good.
Does this in any way fall under the salary study? His staff would, but the electeds would not. Is that a fair?
We would
statement?
not. It goes by the ACCG guidelines, and that's why they put the optional supplemental packages in there.
For the electeds, but your
Correct.
staff would
This-
fall under the.
Correct.
current
It would.
Study?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 5%
Well-
supplement, you're asking that for your staff or,
For myself.
For
And that's
yourself.
the one that, like I said, state court and solicitor.
well, is there a ask for the employees as well?
Originally, I asked 10% to kind of
Okay.
help with today's inflation, and it was countered with the 5% between the COLA and merit, which is appreciated.
Okay,
Anything helps today, but it's still a challenge.
okay.
Tim, when will this be when will we have some numbers from the study that we're doing currently? When will we be able to take some action in the different areas?
December, maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, we're going to start to get numbers, as we complete each individual department, and we will probably go building by building, since most of those departments work together, and the positions may be similar. But our hope is to get as much, if not all of it, done by the end of the calendar year, and then implement it immediately thereafter. So it would be above, since the COLA and merit would take effect close to immediately, depending on how quickly we receive the assessments. This would be, any adjustments would be above and beyond that.
Okay. Have all managers been advised to go ahead and do their assessments of their employees now, or?
and Sarah, we can, yeah. So some of them do them on the actual anniversary date versus doing them all at once at the end of the year. So we'll send out an additional reminder if there are any that are not completed.
In this program that we're using, we're not able to just input job positions and all that and find similar.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're
Kind
going
of
to do.
just feed the data in, and, I mean, do we have to go building to building, or we just input what we have on our payroll?
Well, I think I think it's important to have the step to talk to either whoever's running the office or the department head, in case we're not talking about apples to apples.
Would our job description determine apples to apples?
It would if the job descriptions were all accurate, and so.
Okay.
But responsibilities change, and so I do feel more comfortable confirming that, or having HR confirm that the job descriptions we currently have are accurate, to make sure that, you know, we've got good data going in, so we'll have good data coming out.
And lastly, just asking, are we reaching out to our department heads to get feedback on current job descriptions and maybe gaps that are in there to kind of expedite things a little bit?
We will, at the launch of this process, prior to each visit.
Okay.
Right now, we're doing like kind of a little bit one-off positions of some open positions that we have to make sure that they're accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But then once we go department to department, there'll be a kind of a heads-up letter to each of the department heads and elected officials or appointed positions to let them know what the scope is going to be.
Okay. And sorry, I have one more.
Sure.
Should we set a policy for when employee evaluations are done, as opposed to spreading them out throughout the year? It's just something thrown out to the commissioners here. To
Our rule is
discuss.
that it has to be done within a review of an employee has to be done within 1 year of July 1st, right? So if you did it July 30th of last year, you're still good on that employee.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's our kind of only requirement on it. In some cases, you have employees who go through their 6 months evaluation period, new employees who just have one. So we kind of didn't want to stack them right on top of each other and require them to do them on a certain date. But we could, I mean, if you all want to make that a policy, we could make it that they had to be done, you know, between, let's say, June 1st and July 30th or something to that effect.
Yeah, the only caveat to that is somebody starting later in the year, and they've only been there 2 months.
Yeah,
I
they
didn't
could
give them
They feel like they
Right.
could still have the review. They may not be rewarded, but at least you get everybody on the same page at the
Right.
same time, so.
The only thing that having done both types, or been involved in both types, I can say that if you do have a deadline, specific date, that everything has to be done, unfortunately, humans procrastinate, and it tends to sometimes rush you through
Right.
evaluations, where if it is spread out, throughout the year, like on the point of hiring or whenever you officially, then that does maybe not have so much done at one time, and it's not as quality of an evaluation as it should be. So
Gotcha.
that would be my only caution to doing that.
Understood. Very
If
good.
y'all
One
don't
thing
have
we're
any
looking at
questions for
right
me.
now at work, and
Just-
this is
Just for my,
everybody deals with, is
you know,
COLA merit type raises, and even Gulfstream, I've reached out to some higher ups there. They don't do COLA. They do
just merit.
merit only, but it's like a COLA. So they have a point system to where it may be 1 to 5. Well, nobody's a 5. And if they're a 1, they probably shouldn't be there. But somewhere in between there, they get these points, and they can get up to 3%, 4%, 5%, and pull from that, you know, according to the reviews. So you've got to do the reviews in those cases, so because people are expecting their raises on their annual dates. So that would be one way to look at things. you know, that I think is pretty effective.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you deserve a raise, you get your
Yeah,
raise.
Georgia Power does similar.
And they
We never
set
have a COLA.
aside, yeah, they set out a pool, you know, if you wanted to offer 4% of your entire payroll, you do that. You might not use all of that, and you can use it in other areas as bonuses and things like that, but
Yeah.
it's a way to budget for and provide the necessary funds for people that need it and deserve it.
Well, it gives the ability to just say you have a bucket of money and you can, you know,
Allocate it according
you
to-
lead horse,
Yeah.
you know, gets rewarded and, you know,
And
down
then you're
the
gonna
line.
get
So
that
it kind of motivates, incentivizes a little bit. so.
Exactly, and that will key up those reviews where they get done, because if people do procrastinate, including at my business and me,
Yeah.
I'm bad about it.
They're good.
I
That's
have
one way.
one thing I wanted to mention, and I guess disagree with to a little, respectfully disagree. I know in your slideshow you were talking about the growth of the county, and staff can correct me if I'm wrong, but from between 2023 and 2026, the clerk of court's office, the budget increased 30%, at 35, just in salary, is what I'm seeing in my data.
I wouldn't know.
So
that
I just
to-
want to,
yeah.
I want to defend us that we
Yeah.
have been funding the growth,
Yeah.
you know, departments with
And
the
I wouldn't know
growth.
back in 23. I was still just.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm just defending our board.
No, that's, I get it.
And we've been doing salary studies and things like this for, gosh, as long as I can remember. But we've been proactive in that area.
Yeah.
Personally, I have no problem with what anybody's asking for. Part of it's in the budget. It's merited. I don't believe in keeping people at the low minimums, but I do think we need to
And that's the
take a look
problem.
at the whole thing. And
That's the problem we're at the other day when I was doing my own salary study. There's nothing wrong with hard labor work. But even, say, my employees can leave here, which I think is a skilled position, you have to learn it, and they can leave here and go to Harbor Freight and make more money with
There's
benefits.
a cost to that when you
Yeah.
have that. But we also have, and one thing I'm not privy to, and it's hard to kind of see the whole thing tonight, is you have to factor in retirement systems and everything else that a county employee might have over Harbor Freight. you
Well,
know.
no, this one was full benefits.
And
I
it
should
could
have
be
printed and bought it.
and 401Ks, and I
Mhm.
just want to make sure we compare apples to apples
Yes.
when we're looking at it.
So Walt, just so I'm clear again, the 5% supplement is for you.
Mhm.
The 12 employees that you have, I'm sorry, the 11
It'd be
employees that
11
you
right now,
have,
and one open.
you were okay with the 5% COLA and merit?
Anything is better than nothing.
Okay, well, we've already kind of agreed to that, I believe, so.
Yeah.
All right, so just the 5% supplement for you is the.
And the COLA.
Five more, didn't you?
Well,
Asked for
I'm
10%
requesting the
initially.
2026 or 7 COLA and merit, as well, the county employees, but
Okay. Got it.
What did I get, 10%?
So 5 across the board, basically, is what you're looking at.
again, anything's better than nothing.
I'm confused.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all, and I'll give it to the next.
All right.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. I'm Spencer Tyson. I'm the Solicitor General, and wanted to address a couple things. The first, I want to address something Walt was saying about the 5% supplement, because I think that got a little confused there. The way our state court is set up by local legislation tied the state court judge's salary and the Solicitor General's salary to the Superior Court judges. And that's part of my presentation, but we were set at 85% by local legislation in the capital, and the county, way before my time, kicked in a 5% and made it 90%. But House Bill 85 has kind of thrown a wrench into that circumstance, especially for me, not so much for, there was a wrench for the judge, but it's going to self-correct. The first thing I wanted to address was this budget scenario. And I understand this is probably the most tasking situation that y'all deal with all year. There's plenty of things. And then I want to say thank you to the staff for the response that we have gotten. But it feels like part of this could have been avoided. This started back in March. There was a countywide email sent out to department heads and elected officials to set up a meeting when we would want to discuss our budget. I was not on that email. I think there were a couple other department heads. And Ms. Marie actually corrected that and sent me an email on April the 1st explaining to me that I wasn't on the email, which of course I didn't know existed. At that time, my daughter was scheduled to be born on April the 14th. So I responded immediately and stated, I need to get this meeting done, and I want to be in communication, but I was first child. I didn't know what life was about to turn into. So got that meeting done, and I was very clear when I had it. I said, I don't want us to get to June and reading the second budget and not know what we're looking at. And my experience, I got an itemized copy of my office's budget last week. The first time I actually saw a proposed budget was when it was posted on the county website, which of course is a spreadsheet of all departments. And I see a numbers change, but I don't know what that is. I know what I asked for, and I've got people that work for me that are going to naturally ask that question of what is happening. And it doesn't look too good when I go to work and I say, I don't know. They're like, well, you went to these meetings. And it's like, yes, I did. I don't have an answer for you. And I don't want to give that answer. And I don't think anybody wants that to be the answer that we give here in Effingham County. Going off some of the numbers Walt had, I just want to point out that Solicitor's Office, there is massive growth, and we are expecting that to get exponentially higher this year with 20 new law enforcement officers coming in. And I do know, it's not broken down in the budget, that some of those people are going to be jail officers. Jail officers don't generally make a bunch of misdemeanor cases, but road deputies do. You can see from last year to this year, we have 1,000 increase in tickets, and we're also running 3,000 criminal cases on top of the 5,000 tickets. If you do quick math, 50 working weeks, 40 hours a week, that's 60 cases a week. That's 45 minutes per case that comes into the office where it needs to be accused, drafted, and brought to court. That's a quick turnaround, and we pride ourselves in getting that done. I have a great staff, 3 full-time employees that are there every day. They may not be the friendliest people all the time, but they worked pretty hard. And I commonly refer to her as my boss, my office manager, has been here with the county for 22 years, and I'm thoroughly blessed that she's been here. And when I come before you and ask for a raise for her, I'm taking into consideration, I know it was pointed out at the last meeting that for the last 5 years, there's been a COLA and merit raise, and I'm not going to hold anyone accountable for a board they weren't on or things that happened before them. But there are a lot of years before that there weren't COLA and merit raises. She's been here for 22 years, and there are people that are hired making more money than her that are not dealing with the level of casework that she is. It is skilled labor. And these are positions, and spoke with Mr. Callahan about it. Going forward, these are probably going to be degree-required positions. These are very technical positions. If tomorrow something happened and she didn't want to come back to work, the solicitor's office would not operate correctly for quite a while. Moving on to the House Bill 85, which I mentioned. House Bill 85 came in session in 2025, went into effect July 1st, but as any good General Assembly bill, it went into effect in steps. July 1st, 2025, the Superior Court judge's base salary was reset to $201,000. Initially, it was set at $138,000. There were county supplements. This also capped county supplements, creating issues where there's certain judges got raises or not. I believe all of our judges got a slight raise, and it does make it more uniform. However, it froze all tied salaries for a minimum of a year to July 1st of 2026. On July 1st of 2026, the state court judge's salary will then become tied to the new base level Superior Court judge's salary. However, any other officials or officers, myself, will continue to be frozen until there is action taken by either the local governing body or by new local legislation. So it is frozen from now on. There's no state COLA, there's no state merit, there's no county COLA or merit. It will stay stagnant until one A or B option occurs. This is
Can you
something,
repeat those options again?
either local legislation in the General Assembly, so a local bill dropped, or any action by the local government to, so they didn't repeal the statute that creates our state court. It is suspended until changed. So local government could enact it the same as it was before. They could tie it to something else. You could find a new, because solicitor generals are not paid the same across the state. Some are set to a flat fee. Some are tied to population, some are tied to the Superior Court. It's a pretty popular, when they were creating the state court positions. There are still counties around us that don't have state courts. So again, each one is unique because they are local legislations written for a single county. But currently, ours and any other tied like it, I was talking with the Solicitor General of Bibb County this week. Hers is set up this way. She's frozen until either a local legislation or local government action. This was something I thought might need to be in executive session, but addressing it here, I don't have a full proposal. If you wanted to tie it to the Superior Court as it has been before, I would have no objection, but something's going to have to be done eventually, because like I said, right now it's not going to move. It's going to stay at the 2024 number until action by one of those two agencies.
Okay. So basically, you got left out. the
Correct.
bill.
Well,
Okay. Well, you got
the-
frozen in the
And
bill.
it was a 2-year process for the Superior Court judge's bill to pass. It was proposed in 2024. It didn't make it out of the Senate. It went back, and this was the bill that came apart. There was consideration, and part of the reason I didn't bring it up before is it was going to get fixed at the General Assembly, but it has not, and you don't really expect a lot to happen in an election year anyway, but it's, at this point, I've got to bring some clarity to myself, because I can't just stay stagnant.
So your salary is frozen right now?
Correct, at the same thing it was June 30th of
And
2025.
we have the authority, we can give you a raise even though it's,
Correct, you could initiate, it could be.
Yeah, we can
re-
adopt.
You could adopt the same pay scale that was before. You could adopt, you could do a supplement, or it can be done through local legislation to retie it or set it to population or something like that. This is a conversation I wanted to be a little bit more back and forth. I don't want to come in here and say, yes, it should be tied to population, because then we have, well, which number we're going to use.
So what is your ask, Spencer?
Sir?
What is your ask?
My ask is for us to take some action to correct that, and I'd like to take some action to correct just the budgeting. I know we're new software. I think everyone's aware that, and I think that's going to be a good thing, that everything's going to be public. We don't need to hide things from the public. They need to know what the people that represent them are making, and the OpenGov stuff will work when it communicates with each other. And it's a huge learning curve. But again, I don't want department heads placed in that position over and over, where I've got people who essentially live paycheck to paycheck that want to know, is July's paycheck going to be 5% higher, or is it going to be the same? And those are legitimate questions that these people have. But as far as me, I want some action taken. Like I said, I don't want to just have no answer there.
So I'll ask again. In a perfect world,
Perfect world,
what
I
would be
mean,
your
with
ideal
perfect world, we can
outcome?
go back to what we were before. I mean, it would be 90%
Okay,
of
so
state
adopt
court
the
judges.
Similar.
That would be fine.
so 90% of state court judge?
And like I said, the way the local legislation is written is it's 85% of 85%. So the state court judge is set at 85% of the Superior Court. The Solicitor General is set at 85% of the state court. But the county, and I do believe this goes all the way back to when Mark Lee was a solicitor and Judge Thompson was a state court judge, there was a 5% supplement that was added. And we don't work on the ACCG guidelines, but I do know by the ACCG guidelines, we're kind of, that 5% supplement's there until a change in office or something.
So you're looking at 85% of state court and a 5% supplement.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And it works out to 90, it's just the way the language reads.
gotcha. All right. And just to answer your question, why in a public meeting? We want to be as transparent as possible.
I
You know,
agree.
everybody knows everybody in this county, and I don't want any appearance of impropriety at all for these asks that are going on. And I thought it was important. I was, glad that Neil kind of opened it up, and I got a call from Walt asking the same thing. Let's do this in public. If you want to ask, we're taking public money. We want to be able to, have the public see this, take place. So
No, I completely
why we're
agree. I do think it should be open, and that's one of the things I'm very happy with the Open Gov. Like I said, the public's gonna be able to log onto their phone and see what every one of us makes, and I think they have every right to. They pay our salary. But again, I do feel like a conversation, and me and Tim had a good conversation about what House Bill 85 says. Like, it's like, you know, it has an exception here where it draws out all officials except judges. And all the judges' salaries move up on July 1st, but unless we take some kind of action, all other officers and officials tied are stuck.
Gotcha. Very good.
And if there's any other questions, I'm more than willing to answer. Always have an open door, so if you ever need me, you know where I am.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Spencer. Who's next?
I'll try to make mine much quicker. Walt's laid out most, or I'm Scott Lewis, I'm the Chief Magistrate Judge. Walt's already laid out most of the numbers, so I'm not gonna rehash that. I'm here asking for basically the same thing Walt is asking. I'm looking more at my associate and myself for the full-time. Magistrate Court does have to be 24 hours a day. We don't have the luxury of turning our phone off, going home at night, or doing much over the weekend. We have to be available. The only court has to be available 24 hours. Like I said, the numbers are there. Our numbers were up last year. It was in our latest budget. Our civil alone was over 1,300 cases more last year just in our little court than it was previous. We are also tracking a month ahead already this year from the numbers last year, and everything's just growing. My biggest concern about myself and my associate judge, though, is we're getting more pressure on us coming up in the next year, and it wasn't nothing y'all did, we did, it wasn't even our growth. The state has decided magistrate court is gonna start hearing cases up to 25,000 instead of 15,000. That's something the state pushed down on us. We didn't ask for it. Matter of fact, the District 1 judges were completely against it, but we did not make any headway. I did not think magistrate court needed to go to that level. But here or there, they didn't bother to hear what I had to say about it. They thought we needed to do it. We also have an issue with HOA. This seems to be somewhat backwards. It's pushing down on us. HOA complaints now will go to the Secretary of State's office coming July 1st. And where appeals are usually seemingly done different, appeals from the Secretary of State's office will come to magistrate court. If it's appealed and they do not come up with what they want to do on that level, it comes back to us. That's going to be new to us. It's going to definitely put some more work on our judges. As far as our staff, like I said, I ain't not hit on numbers. I'm not going to repeat because I know we're very close on time, but I'm asking basically what Walt was asking for me and my one associate that's full-time. Tim and Mark worked well with me on our adding a little bit. We did need to add some staff. They didn't get exactly where I wanted to be with it, but they worked it out where we can fade it in over a little bit of time and get us where we should be. I appreciate that. I'm also going to wait and see where the salary study goes. I know y'all working on that. I had put in for more than was approved for my employees, but again, they made us aware y'all were working on that, so I'm not going to sit here and waste a lot of time on that. But in a nutshell, we'd like to be considered as into the cost of living and merit as the other employees. I know we're not technically county employees, but we're here doing the job with them. We'd like to be considered to be on that same scale. And again, that's briefly a little bit more we're getting pushed on us that we didn't ask for. There's a few more things. Like I said, I'm not gonna sit and beat y'all down. We're almost at 6 o'clock. Y'all got other people waiting, but that's the magistrate court. That's where I'm at with it. I started here in January 1993. I've been with the county a long time, and I do appreciate, I pay taxes here, and I appreciate y'all being good stewards of the money, even though I'm asking. I do appreciate that. We are not a minimum tax-based county. I mean, some people might want to think we are, but we're not. Personally, I pay a little over $1,000 a month to rent property that I own from the county. It's bought and paid for. So I appreciate y'all being considerate with the money, but the growth we have and the workload that's coming down on all the employees, we just want to make y'all aware and see if we can meet somewhere in the middle with it or do some changes.
Gotcha.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, Judge Lewis, so you say you guys will be hearing HOA and POA cases?
It's HOA. We already hear civil claims with HOA as far as if they're not paid liens, and also we do liens, or not liens, but garnishments. But
Right.
if there's a complaint now with HOA, it'll start with the Secretary of State's office.
Okay.
Certain complaints, not the civil side. If they're just making an HOA claim, if you're not paying it, and they want to sue you for it, that'll come to us. But if there's major HOA complaints about how they're set up and how they're operating, it'll start now with the Secretary of State's office
Appeal back to you if they
and
don't like
appeal to us, which to me seems completely backwards. We're the lowest court, and usually things are going
I was thinking the
away
same
from
thing.
us, and we gladly like it to go away from us.
Yeah.
But that's just one other thing that we didn't ask for, but it's gonna be more for us to do.
If you have to deal with HOAs, that's worth something
I,
to me.
and if any of y'all ever wanna be a part-time judge and wanna just handle HOA calls for us, we will be more than happy. But anyway, thank y'all.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
Do you have to be on the agenda to talk?
Come on.
Sorry about that. I was on vacation last week and wasn't able to get on it, but I'm David Zitrower. I'm your probate judge for the county, and good evening to everyone. I do have handouts because I was a little behind the eight ball. Can I hand these out to you guys? Sure.
Thanks.
And it's nothing special. It's just the ACCG printout concerning the probate judge.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
And what I'm gonna show you there, and you see where I've kind of wrote some numbers in there. Does anyone else need, I have one, I'll give it to someone else when I'm done with it, but I need a guide here, please. If you look at I'm not gonna hide anything, my salary is, the probate judge is $75,327.48. That's my base salary, and that's what I've came in at. And that is based on population. And that population, as you see, when you reach 74, between 50,000 and 74,999, that the salary for the probate judge is at 75, but then when you hit 75, it starts at 80,000. So basically, it goes up about $55,000 when the population changes. And I think through prior conversation, we can agree that we're pretty close to the 74,999, correct? To some extent. And if you do the 5% on a probate judge's salary, that's $3,766.35. That's what I'm asking for, is the 5% for my position. Also, if you'll go to the back of the handout that I gave you on the last page, there's an optional expense account. I spoke with Tim about this, and I will say in advance that Tim stood up. We had after the first reading of the budget, that there was a big hiccup in my budget, and it was corrected. They eliminated a full-time position that is currently filled, and it was like, something was kind of, while we were here in full force, because there was some hiccups there. We got it worked out. Tim worked with me. He gave me I think he gave me $9 an hour to go across my whole staff for this year to award those that receive certificates, or they get some type of credential that they're needed to work in probate court. And with that, I was grateful that he did that. But here again, on the back page, if you look, there is a supplement that we can get for $200 a month in expense. I don't know that I am getting that. I'm asking for that $200 a month expense.
And if I can add on just a couple of those, and so currently the $200 a month expense allowance is paid to the magistrate and the associate judge and the magistrate. In the budget, we included to add, and it's particularly in the salary guide in the state law, it specifically says, who that counties can include this $200 expense supplement for certain elected and appointed position. All electeds office, and by looking at it, they look like the constitutional officers. But we included that now for the probate court, the clerk of courts, the tax commissioner's office, and the sheriff. That's in this year's budget, that additional $200 a month. And what we did, we actually started a new program here after speaking with David with regards to these employee development pay bumps. And what we've done is we've allocated, it's much more than $9 because we did it across the entire county to the workforce development office or whatever we have. So essentially, if you're, that we can simply move the money over to the department upon, showing that we've got, certain certifications. But we also want an employee development plan. And so what it'll end up doing is saying, all right, you've got this position, not particular to an employee, but this particular title position. And say, this position can get X amount more money if they do this, if they get this certification, and so on. So that it gives a growth path, and it gives something outside of the traditional COLA and merit, where the employee can improve themselves and get additional funds, and they will be budgeted, and we will budget them on an annual basis so that they can get them. And so we've included that in the budget as well, not just for the probate court, but for any department within the county. They just got to kind of tell us what the certifications are, and when it was completed, et cetera, so that we can keep track of it.
As long as provides a service to the citizens, right?
Right, right.
I mean,
And it's going to have a tie to
I mean,
the
just-
actual job,
Well, in a
right?
lot of cases, you're gonna have to where they have to be certified. Like, we
Yeah.
run criminal
Exactly.
histories on gun permits, so you
Sure.
gotta be GCIC
That's right.
certified.
That's
If
right.
anybody's ever tried to do
Yeah.
that, to be a terminal operator,
No,
it's not a small
In the
task.
case of you guys, it's clear on those certifications.
Yeah,
Exactly
there's-
right. And so some of them are going to be obvious, like those. Some of them not so much, but just make the case to us why it's important for the particular job that you're in.
Right, yeah, I mean, we handle test vital records. If you're born or died in Georgia, you can get, and a marriage license, we do all that. So all those require certificates to be able to work in vital records. And the more I can get my staff to be more qualified and have, more services we can provide, or better services, why not? That's what we're here for.
That's right.
That's what I signed up for, so I'm gonna push my staff to do the same thing.
Judge Zitzrider, the salary you have here as a base salary, does that include the other COLAs that were added in for 2020 through 25, or?
I believe it should, yes, sir. I'm not sure. It may not. I just kind of pulled this out, like I said, last minute. I will admit that I have 2 supplements. I have passports, and I have a vital record supplement. That's, the vital record is governed by the commission here from, I think, when Judge Seconder was here. I don't know that we've even thought about even reviewing that yet. I haven't got there yet.
That's
so.
been a while ago.
It's been, yes, quite a while. So, and that supplement is set at $7,500 out of the vital records. I know last year we paid almost to the county $90,000 from probate court out of vital records services. So that's just a little drop in the hat, so to speak, from what we collected there.
You said vital, what was the other one besides vital records?
Passports.
Passports, okay.
Yes, we are, probate court is one of 2 places that do passports here. The Rinkin Post Office being one, and then my office being one, and,
And what is that supplement for passports?
it just depends on what it collects. Last year was,
Percentage.
I think, right at 18,000, but that's without taxes, because I gotta claim taxes on all that, because that's just money, and then I gotta pay taxes on it, and that was quite a blow last year. My accountant looked at me like I was crazy. He goes, "Can you do something else with this?" It's like, I wish I could, but I can't.
Very good.
That's all I have. Any questions?
Very good.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming out and doing this in a public meeting. I appreciate that very much.
I think we got one more.
Judge Calhoun, do you have something?
Don't panic, I'm not asking for more money. I do want to bring up the fact that all I can attest to is to state court. We have got right now, a system that is working incredibly efficiently. And whenever Mr. Tyson speaks about Barbara Wortleitner, I don't even think he mentioned her name, she is phenomenal. She absolutely is. And the people that we have in line, both of our departments, work well together. And that does not mean we always get along. There have been some hallway discussions that were not pleasant, but we all got a job to do. We've been doing our jobs. And as you can see, we've got the money coming in from the pretrial diversion, which I send you quarterly as I receive it. In addition to that, there's some funds out there that we're trying to get allocated for the county, which is a significant amount, but that's gonna take extra work outside of their general duties that they have. It's gonna take time on weekends, it's gonna take time in the evenings too, to try and secure that money as well. And we're also trying to come up with a procedure such that what has taken place over the years no longer takes place. I'm not part of the Old Boy Network, so anything I say is entirely independent of all these guys sitting up here, to tell you the truth. But, and it probably makes the judges and solicitor and that in the offices sound like a bunch of whining babies because of the increases in the salaries that they're requesting, which is not necessary. I mean, it's significant enough, our salaries. But you have to take in consideration, we go to these seminars, and we are grossly underpaid compared to the other areas in our state. And I think that needs to be taken into consideration too. For whatever reason, all of us are gonna do our job no matter what happens, and we've committed to that, and we do it. We have sometimes 400 cases on one docket. We don't keep the people until 4 or 5 or 7 o'clock at night. And I'm sure there's probably been a reduction when it comes to the deputies' outlay on this as well. We've been very efficient in our time and with our services, and that starts with the solicitor's office in that he is willing to meet with people prior to that time, as long as attorneys cooperate, and we can get the cases done. So all I'm asking is, in support of these gentlemen, even though sometimes I don't always support them, but it is what it is. And I just ask that we take into consideration what we're working with right now. So, and invitation extends to you guys as well. Anytime you want to come sit in, as long as there's room in the courtroom, or you guys can sit in the jury box to see what all takes place on a weekly basis for us too. And then also there is some discretion, or there's some discrepancy between, in the judicial community, here in, well, our courthouse, as far as, what part-time judges are making compared to full-time, or somebody who's listed as part-time and what they're receiving. So just, we ask for some, equality as to that as well. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, very good. We will, let's take a recess real quick for 5 minutes and reconvene here at 6:16. And we'll move into our planning board. All right, I'm going to call us back to order here.
Okay, I appreciate it.
We're now going to move into our planning board. We'll be starting at item number 1 in unfinished business. Item 1 is the second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading of an application submitted by Stanley Martin Homes, Anthony Rocco, as agent for Brett Hughes to rezone plus or minus 452.55 acres located on Zittriah Road from AR1 to R5 to allow for residential development in R5. Map number 374, parcel number 18, 42, and 42A in the first district. This was postponed from our April 6th and June 2nd, 2026 meetings. I will open the floor for discussion from the board.
So after the meeting, I had a conversation with some of the residents along Zittriah. They had asked for an additional, for a 100-foot buffer all the way along Zittriah Road. Stanley Martin agreed to that. And then there's so much conversation about the possibility of flooding. I'm requesting that we have a third-party review of any drainage or stormwater plan so that they have their engineering plans, then our engineering staff can study it, and then I think we should pay, because there's such a concern, for an independent third-party engineering firm to take a look at it to be sure what's proposed will work.
So independent outside the county engineer.
Outside of our county
Okay.
engineer, yeah.
Gotcha.
Not EOM
Or EMC.
or EMC. Beth requested it not be the one that her family works with. I don't care how we choose that. I'm open to.
And we can, we have the indefinite delivery contracts where we have stormwater engineers that we can select or put a request for a proposal out to them.
And it's not that I don't trust.
Oh, no, I understand. You get a third
Transparency.
set of eyes that can't hurt.
Right.
Yeah. And Jonathan, I'm assuming you'll have some input in that, obviously, from a
Yeah,
feedback.
absolutely. Yeah, we can look at the IDC, like Tim said.
So what do you call this? Would it be a hydrology study, or is it just?
Yeah, we could have, we could limit it to the stormwater, but I mean, we could also open it up to the rest of the environmental,
Yeah,
concerns
I
as
think
well.
you need to, I think, with the, FEMA stuff, the.
Right, we
that
could,
Eli Whitney, the
right, the wetlands, the floodplains, the stormwater.
wetlands.
And we can
Because I
get
even have
those.
an issue with the amount of wetlands, so.
How many retainage ponds were on? This is 20-something, right?
20 plus, so I'd have to refer to Hussey and Bell, but I mean, that's something that,
Could shift and move with
right,
site plan.
once we get past the zoning, aspects, we would go into the site plan, and they'll, from there, really start to get into more of the technical with the development plan review and the LDA permitting side of things. So I mean, that's where we would get into that, more thorough review, and then we could do a third party, check of the plans as well, just to make sure that it's meeting all the criteria that we have in our local stormwater ordinance. And I mean, I think that'd be great.
One of the concerns, and I was just speaking with one of the residents, but the law states that the water can't run off this property after development any quicker than it does now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's also in our-
Kind of describe that, because the contention is that it's going to flow faster because of these houses. But my understanding is these retention ponds is what's supposed to help slow it down to drain off the property correctly.
Yeah, so that
Kind
what,
of give us a.
right, so what they're describing is the time of concentration, and essentially, yeah, if you do add more impervious, surface, it is gonna make the water travel a little bit faster. But then how you account for that is you build ponds, and then you can also control how fast the water is leaving with the outfall structure. And so you're gonna choke it down essentially at the outfall structure to try to not release as much, water at that point. And that, that's the same, concept whether you're doing, 1,300, home site, or if you're doing a 10 neighborhood, development. It doesn't really matter the type of development or size. I mean, you've got to make sure you're meeting that criteria regardless.
Is there
So,
a possibility that once all these studies are done, that the number of homes would be reduced?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, right now, haven't, I mean, they've got a wetlands delineation, right? But, I mean, we haven't reviewed that yet. They're working on the FEMA, study. I mean, we'll,
It's just a-
we'll see what comes from that, and then,
We're
hey.
limited at 1,000, but it could possibly be less with this study.
Right, and they have stormwater, ponds shown on the plan, and that's great, but, I need to look at the H and H
table.
report, right, and make sure there's enough freeboard, make sure, hey, the flow is correct, hey, we missed this, whatever it could be, right, in the study. I mean, it could affect, hey, we need bigger ponds, and, hey, you're not gonna be able to develop as many homes as you were proposing, because we gotta address the stormwater, or we gotta address the wetlands or the floodplain.
How far off the property does this study go as far as the outfall? Because it's a domino effect as you,
Yeah.
start from the river
So-
going back.
Based off the study, I mean, you'd look upstream and downstream. And so really when it, with me, there could be multiple different areas that are upstream, right? It could just be, I know everyone's focused on just this one portion that goes underneath Midland, but I mean, hey, there's waters that are coming upstream from the Blue Jay side as well that we have to account for. So it really is just going to depend on the site specific. But when we look at the H&H report, I mean, that's something that, the design engineer, hydrology and hydraulics, the stormwater report. We'll have to come to an agreement of, hey, this is far enough upstream, or hey, this is not far enough downstream. We need to check.
What if there's outfall improvements that need to be done to do this? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's something that, we'll have to talk about. I mean, I think, ideally, they have to retain, the water on their site before it leaves. So hopefully the amount of improvements off-site aren't gonna be needed, right? Now, maybe there's an opportunity, I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to see what comes from the study. But
There could be existing issues that need to be
right.
addressed.
addressed.
That's
That's
what I was
right.
getting at. If we have, say we got a beaver dam somewhere in the middle down here that's, that we don't have access to because we don't have an easement to go clean up, those types of things, so.
Right, that's right. And that's something that has been a benefit to development is a lot of these large tracts of lands, there are no easements today that the county can go and do any work on. But because of the development, one, they're going to be retaining the water there on their site, but two, the county's now going to have the ability, because of the easements that are going to come from it, to be able to knock out these beaver dams. And so, we're slowly starting to get more easements that are, affecting the general public, even though it's quote unquote on private
That will
property.
be at a cost to the county.
It's costing the county, I'd argue, today anyway, right? If there's a beaver moving in and damming it up, I mean, that's a problem. So all this is helping us do is be able to get access to address the problem that's already there.
The canal that several of us emailed you about, if you have any update with that, do we have easement to whatever this canal is
Yeah.
that was?
Yep, I talked to Derek Jenkins. I was planning on going out today. I canceled it because of the rain that we were getting. Today I didn't want to come drenched, so I moved that meeting to the 26th. But based off the plat, that I was able to see, there is an easement for that canal that you're referring to, the canal that south of Zitcherower that isn't a part of these parcels here that are being rezoned, but there is a canal there. We put it in a work order. Shameless plug, please use Engage Effingham to create work orders to be able to get EOM out there, especially if we have the easement, we can go out there and maintain the drainage.
All along Midland, Zittriver, a lot of those roads need some ditch work. There's a lot of growth in those. I think that's something that needs to be addressed anyway, so.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt. We can get with EOM to get that added to their work order list.
Very good.
But if there's nothing else.
Thank you, John.
Well, thank you, John. Anyone else have anything they want to add?
I'm, oh, okay.
Oh,
I'm
no,
gonna
go
jump
ahead,
ahead.
we'll start at your end.
That's right. I have no issues with the third party having a third set of eyes. I know it's not the norm, but I believe this is unique because of this Eli, Whitney watershed and being tied to some, a larger stormwater system. So, I don't want to set a precedence that we always pay for a third party, as a,
Yeah, I just think.
as
it's
a general
important,
rule.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. This has got some unique points to it. I'm sorry.
No. So are you saying that that's gonna be part of your motion to approve tonight? I
Yes.
just wanted to make clear that, okay?
Yes, I want us to, whether you support it or not,
Right.
if it does, I would hope that we could all agree that we do need a third set of eyes to examine the stormwater drainage plan.
Yeah, I don't have any trouble with a third set of eyes, but I do, of course, have issues with, rezoning it. And I guess, are we speaking on that now, or you want to say anything on that?
I know, no, you,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And of course, a lot of these things were rehashed at the last one, but I just want to just make sure that the things are covered. I have an issue with how much wetlands, of course, I'll do the environmental side first, I guess, which I know can be addressed, as Mr. Holmes just said about the, during the design phase and all that kind of stuff. But I do have an issue, and I'm glad somebody else will look at that, because I think there is more wetlands there than they're saying. I have the issue, of course, depending on what those reports say, whether or not there'll have to be even flood insurance for this area, because this is a bay. And if that is the case in some cases, I know that the developers have said, of course, they're gonna build everything up and take care of it, but that will be a concern, obviously, to homeowners, because that's very expensive. So, there may have to be some wetland mitigation, if it is passed. I'm sure that'll be in development stage too. And of course, the fact that this is a watershed. So, I think these are just things that we have to keep in mind, with this development. And I think that's what, of course, most of the people who are sitting in this room that objected to it is, what's the effect gonna have on my property? And although we're guaranteed, that, or told by the engineers, and I don't, my son is one, that this can be taken care of, I think that's always maybe, okay? And I think they will have to agree to that. We can't predict what's gonna happen with that. So I think we have to concern ourselves with the effects of this development on the surrounding areas, which is, of course, part of my job. How is it going to affect me? I think we have to remember that the planning board did deny this. I know that was when there was 1,300 houses. They've reduced it to 1,000. I still think that 300 is not going to make that huge amount of difference in terms of the effect that the development will have on this property. So I think we do have to respect their opinion on that, and we cannot forget that those people did work hard in looking at this. We have sat here tonight and listened to all of our constitutional officers and state court officers and so forth talk to us about why they need more money, because there's more people. And of course, there is that figure out there of how many houses already are approved to be built. And we can go from anywhere from, 4,700 to 6,000, depending on who you want to listen to. But the point is, there's a lot of houses being built that is these types of houses. And so I think we have to be concerned. One of the most complaints that I have heard since I got on this board is property taxes. My taxes are going up every year. I'm hearing it right now, and we have to be concerned. We have to have money to run the county. But as the case is, we keep adding people to the county. The sheriff wants more people. All these people they want pay raises. They're handling more and more cases, so that's going to be more and more people. All of them gave all those figures. I'm not going to go. But that's going to be a cost to the county. And I know this developer is just one of many, but the point is, it's just another one. Just how much more should this county continue to pay for until we're ready? Now I'm going to get into traffic. Everybody tonight, of course, is concerned about traffic on that road. They have in their report, preliminary report, have identified things that possibly might have to be done because of the additional traffic on this road. You're looking at roundabouts, you're looking at right and left turn lanes, you're looking at the effect all the traffic is gonna have on that road, which is probably gonna have to have improvements one day because of the amount of traffic. So again, I think we've just got all these things that we're gonna have to deal with because of this development. And I think the question that I'm asking all of you to consider, is it time? I think this property is going to be developed. I ran on saying I believe in responsible development. I think it's going to be developed. I think it can possibly be developed in a way that's going to be good for everybody around it. But I don't think this one is it. And I think for all the reasons I mentioned and probably some that I haven't mentioned, I think this one just doesn't need to happen right now. I think we need to have time to consider the ramifications of this development. I think we have time to catch up with the traffic. The other complaint I'm always hearing, and y'all are too, how long it takes me to get somewhere anymore. So we just can't keep adding to this problem. We just got to catch up. And I think that the planning board felt it was worth denying, and I feel we should as well on this second vote. Thank you.
Yeah, that's all some good points there. As y'all know, last meeting I did vote in favor of this, and since then I've really been looking at the watershed map, looking into that. Mr. Jenkins provided us some good information, some pictures. I've also talked to Ms. Crow. She was telling me how her property's changed over the last few years with trees dying on her property. And I know the maps change over the years, but it's just, I don't know, it keeps being a constant concern. I know most of the emails we've gotten, of course, are, as Commissioner Helmy said, concerns on the transportation, but it seemed to me one of the biggest thing was the water. And I get that. And as far as the development goes, they've added more space on the buffers, as far as green space and open space, but then you've still got the water issue, or I say issue, but the water question. And I guess that's my biggest concern. And I'm not an engineer, and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but when you look at the map, it is a lot of green there, and I know it was brought up before that the more updated map, it shows less wetlands, but still, it's definitely a watershed there, and I don't know, that's just been the biggest concern that's been coming up to me since the last meeting.
Good. Commissioner Burdo?
Well, last meeting, of course, I voted against this, and I've tried to do more research in these areas and learn more about floodplains and things. And what I've discovered, just learning as I go, we're jumping through a lot of hoops to make this thing happen. I've never seen as many retention ponds on a development. I've never seen as much floodplain and water in one area. So that's a massive concern for me, and that number of 1,000 homes is a massive concern for me, and I can't get that out of my head. And the reason I can't get that out of my head is I don't think we're considering all the traffic. Nobody's thinking about Hodgeville and 30, and that's where they're going to end up, and we don't have the improvements there yet. They're coming, but we don't have them. And that's a major concern, because you can't do an accurate traffic study if you don't have the roads built yet. And we don't have the parkway open, and we don't have any of these roundabouts done. So how in the world can we do a traffic study that's accurate? There's no way to do that, not in my mind. So we're getting so far ahead of us, and now we know that the FEMA study isn't back, and we don't know what they're going to come back with their recommendations. We really don't even know what we're approving at this point. Like the engineer said earlier, it might come back and we have to change the whole site plan. So what exactly am I voting on? We don't even know. There's just too many questions. And, I've I'm running on smart growth, and smart growth tells me that timing is part of that. And we should be timing these things out in a way where we can meet those traffic obligations that we have. So I hope we reconsider this. I support smart growth, but it has to be timed with our infrastructure and our future growth. And we've got to consider everything we have going on right now. That's not going into our study. And, just along that pathway to get out of the county, there's a lot more coming if you don't even count this that we've got to consider. It's just, I'm not against development. Looks nice, looks like a lot of homes squished in a lot of places to me. But I think the timing is just not good for this.
Well, I told y'all in the beginning that I supported property rights, and Mr. Hughes has the right to develop his property within the law. I understand everybody's concerned. I have to trust engineers that they can make this work. I stand by what I said. I understand everybody doesn't agree with me, but my vote's gonna stand as it did, and it'll fall by this council or commission. But I will be asking for a third-party review if we do it, so.
Very good. Anyone else?
I don't have anything to add. I'll add that, I do agree that I believe in the science and the engineering behind it. I do. With the stormwater in particular.
Very good.
I would like clarification. Will anybody on Zitrar Road have to now get flood insurance? If anybody can answer me that. Jonathan, you say no. I don't see how, anyway, I'm not
Yep,
gonna.
CJ, we're gonna keep this county
Curious.
staff only, please.
Yeah, so, I mean, no, I would say no more than what's already there today, right? I mean,
If it's designed correctly, the water's going to flow.
right, it's gonna flow as is today, if not even better, right? Because, I mean,
If
again,
we get 12 inches of rain in the next 24 hours, what's gonna happen on Zitrar Road? It's gonna flood, whether there's a house built or not.
right, yeah, they're having issues. I mean, the photos that they're sharing is today, if nothing gets built. So, my opinion is this is kind of an opportunity to make things better, than what they're experiencing today. I know I talked with, Derek Jenkins, his driveway's getting flooded out, with the huge tract the way that it is today. I mean,
But there is the
But-
possibility that ditch or canal or whatever was instructed will have an impact on that.
No, so they're gonna have-
Because apparently somebody thought a long time ago that was a good thing, so,
the,
and we've agreed to, I guess, maintain it.
the drainage that's there, going through it, I mean, it hasn't been being maintained. I mean, that's part of the problem. So, I mean, if this development were to, let's say the zoning were right to get approved, and then we were to get to a development plan review stage and get to the technical side, I mean, this would give us an opportunity to actually maintain it
Yeah.
and make things
The
better. And
Drainage
regardless
that's
of,
there, is it county maintained or is it private
so
property
there-
maintained?
there's two different canals, right? So there's a canal that I was talking to Mr. Jenkins that's on the south side.
Mhm.
That canal, there is an easement for, but there's another canal that is on these three parcels that there's not, I didn't see an easement. It's all private property.
Okay.
So these three parcels that we're talking about, there's no easement.
There is an easement on his property or some of the other
On the
people's
Jenkins on the
properties.
south side, that's separate from, these three parcels that we're talking about here tonight.
And once
Something-
this, can I?
I was just gonna
Go
ask,
ahead, you
I was
go
gonna
ahead.
ask about the easement. Is that, for the easements that or the ones we don't have easements for, could we acquire those and start?
The property owner would need to
Yeah, I mean,
give us,
give us- give
right,
us that right to go take care of that.
that's right, they
So
would
we
have
could
to
handle
grant
that
us.
without building 1,000 homes.
Yeah, I mean, that's something Mr. Hughes would have to, you'd have to talk with Mr. Hughes to see if he would grant us that, but,
So correct me if I'm wrong here, if water's coming off of my property that's intruding on somebody else's property, it's my responsibility civilly, I'm assuming. should that happen.
Correct.
Whatever the county needs to maintain, we just need to maintain.
Right, so, I mean, water is, all right, regardless of easement or no easement, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're not flooding out your
Right.
neighbor. All the easement does is give the county the ability to go in and maintain. That's right. So we're just talking about who's gonna maintain the flow.
If this development was to pass and the engineering is done correctly and we take over the infrastructure, at that point, we would be maintaining all the drainage for the property.
Correct,
Okay, and making sure it works.
that's right. Versus
Okay.
today, it's all private.
I guess,
At the county's expense. We're gonna go back and forth on that, but still, the
Well,
good
it's
or
always
bad,
at the
right or
county's
wrong.
It's always
I know
at the
it's
county's.
always at the county's
Whether it's-
expense.
It's always at
track.
the
well,
county's
where did,
expense.
where did we go wrong, for example, with Staffordshire? Like, something like that, like, how did
Yeah.
that get through?
So-
and-
Covered bridge,
Staffordshire,
covered bridge.
Staffordshire and Covered Bridge were both built in around the 2005. That was before we had the local design manual that we currently have.
Okay.
So our standards for stormwater have increased substantially over the last 20
That was
years.
the perforated pipe draining into the,
Covered Bridge, yes.
Yeah.
Staffordshire, no. Staffordshire, there's about 2 miles of wetlands is the drainage plan. And the groundwater table was a little bit higher as well, I will say that. But anyway, we're working through the Staffordshire right now, trying to get that fixed. But, I mean,
So would it be-
it is old design standards, that's what it boils
would it be
down
more
to.
responsible to have some due diligence carried out prior to considering this approval, so that we don't have another issue like we had at Staffordshire, for example?
The way that our
I think we need to make a
zoning,
decision. This-
or the way that our ordinance is, right, I mean, the zoning, the land use has to get approved first, and then you go more into the technical side, so, I mean, per our ordinance, I think, they maybe have gone maybe a little above and beyond, right, to try to get a wetlands delineation. They're working on the FEMA. They've done a traffic study, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of engineering that has already arguably been spent that they didn't have to do at
Right.
this
Is that
point.
something that we need to look at, though, potentially to,
My opinion is, no. And it might be unpopular, but I mean, I trust the process. I trust the ordinance. I trust the design manual, to get us there. And they did put together a site plan already, so I know that they're thinking about the H&H already. So,
I guess, and you and I are gonna go back and forth, so. I'm
Right, we might not agree,
Yeah, and that's
but
fine.
that's my
The only
opinion.
thing I'm saying is nothing, there's still an if, and that's the part that, there's still an if. And really and truthfully, none of us will truly know, if everything is done right, it should work, okay? But that's the case with life. You just really don't know. And I sort of go back to I think what Commissioner Burdette said, that there's just so much that seem like we're are wanting to allow or say we can or should do or has to be done with this property. It's just, we've just got all this list of this has to be done. So why don't you just say, let's just hold off? That's my issue right now, like I said when I talked earlier. I think this place is gonna get developed. I just don't think now is the time to do it. Because I think we do have all those ifs, and we do have all those questions about the traffic or about the water or whatever, all the things we brought up. And to me, when you've got that many ifs and that many questions, and I know these gentlemen are gonna speak and say, or would like to speak anyway, I don't know, that's up to the chairman. But they're gonna explain to me why this is wrong, why I'm wrong, or as you have done with some cases that you pointed out. But I'm just sitting here going, you've got all these ifs and all these questions that really and truthfully, none of us will know will work until the development is built. And to me, that's too big of a question to have right now, to say, let's do it.
it's not a matter of,
Especially with the traffic too.
I mean, that's why we have the permitting, right, is to make sure that it works, right, and the studies and all that kind of stuff. But-
And I do understand all
Truly.
that, I really do. We're just, like I said, we're gonna
Okay.
differ on that. And
Yep.
I appreciate the Your expertise, for sure. Told you that yesterday.
Right. Yep.
So,
And, you know, if
there's no
things
need to
were,
beat this horse. I mean, it's
conditions were
pretty much-
different, I may feel differently, but I know we have thousands of lots being developed. I know we're gonna be feeding more traffic into something we can't study right now. I know there's a whole lot of parcels right along that long piece of stretch of that parcel, which is where most of the floodplain is.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, just, like I said before, jumping through a lot of hoops to
Say-
get this thing
I'll
done.
say this just in closing, if you don't mind, and I don't want to defend the developer at all, but I mean, regardless of if it's a R5 or an R1 or a commercial or industrial, right, they're gonna need to meet all of our same requirements, regardless of the use. So I mean, really, you know, the decision here, as you guys know, is is this use appropriate for the
For this
land?
area,
And that's
right.
something that I can't answer. But from a technical standpoint, they're gonna need to meet every single requirement regardless of the use. And so, you know, I'm all about bringing in a third party to make sure that, hey, they're meeting all the technical requirement, as need be. But, I mean, anyway, so I'll end it on that, but thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
May I speak, Mr. Chairman?
No, sir, we're not, this is not public. No, sir, we're not gonna open this up to public. CJ, I'll give you a couple minutes to rebut there if you have anything you wanna add.
Yep. Yes, Chairman, I think that's gonna, you're gonna open the
If we're
floor
going-
We're
here.
the petitioner. We're the petitioner, and we had a public hearing 2 weeks ago. And there are several assertions that have been made that, quite honestly, I don't believe are quite true. And I'm not, I just want to correct the record on some things that were said, and we are the petitioner. Chairman, I honestly don't have a problem if someone else speaks, but this is a zoning. This is zoning. This is not flood zones, this is not wetlands, this is not traffic, this is not any of those things. This is zoning. Is this the appropriate use of the land? Or should it be industrial, or should it be commercial, or should it stay as it is today? That's the question tonight. And it's not about the technical aspects. This is zoning and zoning only. So a few things that we went over today or tonight are the wetlands. I didn't decide what the wetlands are. I'm not gonna decide what the wetlands are. I'm not qualified to decide what the wetlands are. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers decides what the wetlands are. They have done that. They've issued a jurisdictional determination. That is final. There's nothing that staff can do to change that. There's nothing that the commission can do to change that. They have done that. We have that. The flood zone, you're correct. I think it was Mr. Burdette who said we don't have the flood zone yet, or the flood study yet. You're right. It takes 12 months, typically. We have received comments. We have responded to those comments, and we expect that to be approved very quickly. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Administration, determines what the flood zones are. Not us, not another engineering firm, not a third party, not staff, not the commission. FEMA does that, not us. We don't decide that. Hold off until when? There was a moratorium that was put in place to redraft the ordinances. This property sat. Once the moratorium ended, there was a zoning that was issued. That's what we saw. Jumping through hoops, with all due respect, Mr. Burdette, not one thing has been asked of this client to jump through any hoop. In fact, they have exceeded every single ordinance item concerning zoning. Everything. You want bigger buffers? Okay. You want bigger buffers again? Okay. Less dense? Okay. More park space? Okay. More green space? Okay. Help with traffic improvements? Okay. Not jumping through hoops. Exceeding what the ordinance calls for. Traffic study's been done. The owner has agreed to address any traffic concerns that they break.
Can I ask you a question?
Can I finish one more thing? So many ponds, if we had 20 lots and we had 2 ponds, it wouldn't be a big deal. I mean, if we put one big pond, it's harder to do, but then it's only one pond, it's just one big pond. Typically speaking, you have about 10 to 12% of the developable area that goes to ponds. And that's kind of what we have in the concept. I don't think it's up. So, yes, sir, Mr. Burdette.
Well, more of a comment. I've lost my question. But the moratorium, was it to to address this. The moratorium was addressed to building standards. You know, that's why we paused.
And ordinance,
for
I
that,
think.
and ordinances.
Yeah.
You know, the hoops I'm talking about is not what the petitioner has done. I'm very appreciative of somebody that will work with us, and I respect you as an engineer and what you do. You do a great job. For me, it's the questions on the FEMA side, which we admitted we don't know yet. That could materially change things if they don't agree with what you've submitted. I mean, is that true or not?
Not when we've been through 2 cycles of comments and they haven't changed them.
And maybe it not, but
Yes, sir.
but could they?
Could they? Sure.
So then that
Sure.
would materially change everything. My big problem is 1,000 homes. I don't think I've ever sat on this board and approved 1,000 homes since we've been here. Not that I can recall anywhere near that. And the traffic, how do you account for traffic at 30 in Hodgeville in this plan? How do you account for the lots that are being developed right now coming online in District 2, where this is gonna have a major effect on?
So I guess with that, I mean, I guess we shouldn't do anything until those improvements are done.
That's a great idea.
But you
That's what
can't.
I'm trying- why
So,
not?
why?
Yeah. I mean,
Because
I'm
that's
not
what the
against
study,
doing
the
this.
study accounts for what happens when those improvements are in place.
How can
but
you do that without
basically-
even having the roads?
Well, how do we determine how to design the roads to start with?
Well, sometimes we look at traffic patterns on current roads and estimate, and my point is not that we're waiting on Hodgeville and 30, or we're waiting on the Parkway, or we're waiting on Roundabout, or we're waiting on all these things. And I've been very respectful of you, but we've been waiting so long and depending on these infrastructure improvements and promised this and promised that, and they just haven't happened. We cannot count on these things, not timing wise. It's really put us in a pickle as far as what we've got coming to us and what we want to do now. So yeah, I think, you know, I looked up smart growth again today just to make sure. Timing is a tool for smart growth. You know, we may come back later in this to be sure to be a residential area. Does it have to be 1,000 homes? No. Could you make money on that? Yeah. I mean, does it have to go today? No. I would be concerned that it's going to take 10 years to develop it if I lived right there. I'm going to look at dump trucks for 10 years? That's a concern. It's just, there's a lot going on here, and that's what I mean by jumping through hoops. Not that you guys haven't done your due diligence and all that. You always do. You're always professional. The petitioner's done a great job, and I appreciate that. I've approved stuff in the past because of that. We just have so much in the queue right now. It's put a chokehold on our transient times in the morning, afternoons. Now I'm seeing it all day long. I used to see, and that's why we live in our districts, so we can see it firsthand. I used to see it, oh, we've got an hour or two here and an hour or two there. It's like that all day. I'm seeing more traffic than I ever have during odd hours of the day where I'm just surprised. It's a little better now that school's out, thankfully, but as soon as school gets back in, it's going to be another beehive. And this is just too soon.
Very good. All right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take it this time.
I'm going to call for a motion.
I'll keep it simple. I'll make a motion, we approve the second reading with the addition that we have a third-party engineering firm review all stormwater drainage plans.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
Nay.
No.
Motion does not pass. All right.
You can come back in 6 months.
Yeah, and
Rules.
yes, and
take
you know,
this input.
CJ made a great point. Is this the best use for the property? That's what we're voting on, not what it could be, or what it could be, not what it currently is, or as it sits. So yeah, and maybe the petitioner will come back with a little less impact and
hopefully some
something that's more.
improvements. I really need to see some asphalt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. All right, we're moving on to item number 2. Planning Board recommends approving an application submitted by Cynthia House as agent for Mary Agu to rezone plus or minus 21.16 acres located on Abercorn Road from AR1 to HI to allow for permitted uses in HI. Map number 477, parcel number 5 in the 5th District. This was postponed from our June 2nd, 2026 meeting.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. My name is Akila Wright, Planning Manager. The property is undeveloped, heavily wooded land with no existing structures. This item was tabled at the June 2nd meeting, returns before the board tonight. The surrounding development pattern is industrial on all 4 sides of the property. The future land use map already designates this parcel as industrial, and the site is served by both public water and public sewer through Effingham County, which is stronger infrastructure position than the companion application. The principal considerations are wetlands and FEMA, areas on the property, and anticipated truck traffic along Abercorn Road. The Planning Board held a public hearing on May 12th and voted unanimously to recommend approval, subject to the same condition applied to the companion case, which you'll hear later, that the property owner is responsible for roadway improvements along Abercorn Road up to industrial standards. And with respect to the Savannah River Basin, the following best management practices are required. This was sent to the applicant via email. Maximizing on-site detention pond storage and volume by designing the 100-year rainfall event criteria, minimizing the number of outlet structures from on-site detention ponds so that discharge control devices can be installed at each outlet, installing and incorporating applicable spill prevention control and countermeasures within and around warehouse areas and parking aprons to capture spills before they enter on-site detention ponds, ensure that no surface water runoff leaves the site except through approved on-site detention ponds and primary stormwater conveyance routes, and constructing berms along property boundaries as necessary to control and contain on-site runoff. So these watershed protection measures are intended to reduce the risk of pollutants reaching the Savannah River system. And that'll be all. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Very good. Jonathan, do you have the opportunity to get with the people on the Abercorn Road concerns we have?
Yes, sir, I did. I was able to have a meeting with Kimley Horn, and Commissioner Kiefer was able to join us for that one as well. And I apologize for not bringing this up. 2 weeks ago was a long night. And anyway, I should have brought this up, but part of the reason why we were recommending that Abercorn Road be used is the county, we have an access management policy for Old Augusta Road where we're going to treat Old Augusta Road as a divided 4-lane road. And because of that, we're following the GDOT encroachment manual where the opening in the road can only be so often. And so Abercorn Road is about 1,300 feet away from where Logistics Parkway is at. That's also where the roundabout's going. So it made sense to be able to maintain the ability of Abercorn Road to be able to turn left out there instead of trying to have, two different full access points that didn't meet our access management policy. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we landed. I know we also discussed the potential for if these were to be rezoned, and I think they're looking to try to combine the parcels. Maybe there would be an access point through the private property just to the south, but that would be a deal that would have to be, take place between the two different private entities and probably the county as well, to utilize the roundabout that's there. And so I think either way, I think are both meets the access management policy, that the county has for Old Augusta Road.
Was there any discussion about Abercorn Road improvements to not impede, I'll call boat ramp traffic or visitors to that
Yeah,
area back there?
there was some conversations on that. The one thing, I guess, so that we would still have a right in, right out, or I would recommend that there be a right in, right out. So the majority of the traffic that would be coming from Old Augusta Road, right, would not be turning into Abercorn Road. They would actually be entering into the site off of Old Augusta Road, and then, do their circulation around the warehouse, do their business. And then because, most of the traffic we anticipate would be going south back to 21, back to Chatham County, Savannah. In order to turn left, they would actually then come out, turn left onto Abercorn Road, and then turn left onto Old Augusta Road. Majority of the truck traffic too, and the boat traffic, they don't overlap too. I do want to say that, just from an engineering standpoint. Yeah.
Can you address the improvements on Abercorn?
Yeah, so Abercorn Road, in particular, looking to, right now, there's just 2 lanes. What would be recommended is there being a turn left lane added and expanded onto that. And then there could also, I know we discussed about a multi-use trail as well, being a part of this development. Right now, the county is planning for there to be a multi-use trail on Old Augusta Road. The county is currently planning to get the multi-use trail up to Logistics Parkway, and then all these parcels that are here, if they were to be recombined and all that, there was talks of the multi-use trail extending up to Abercorn Road and then also continuing all the way down to the boat ramp.
Yep.
And maybe they would obviously just fund the portion that
You keep
along
a
their
2-lane
frontage.
road, but do a left-hand turn out onto Old Augusta from
Correct.
Abercorn?
Yep.
What
Yes.
about a D-cell type lane or ingress into their property? How would you keep that
Yeah,
flow going? Because it's a warehouse, they could potentially stage and, trucks block the road at some point. So how do we
could
mitigate that, or could we do a middle lane down and do 3 lanes?
Yeah, we can look at, I'd really want to rely on the traffic impact analysis or the traffic study to see if that is required or not. I know with the right in, right out on probably about midway on those smaller rectangular pieces, maybe where that 477A-3 is shown on the screen, there would probably be a right in, right out right there. And there would be a decel lane there for sure.
Okay.
And again, I anticipate 95%, again, this is without a study, right? But, me just as your engineer looking at it, 95% of it would probably be turning right in on that first entry point. I expect there to be very little.
So they
coming
have
from the
options.
north. Yeah, they have options. That's right. And then based off the study, we would, make recommendations from there. But, and I don't want to speak for the developer, but I mean, I think they've been in agreement with, what everything that I just stated. So
Well, we'll get them up here in just a minute.
that's right. But
So they've agreed to pay for the development on Abercorn?
yes, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
On the,
Are there
on the,
improvements?
on the road itself, I'm assuming that Abercorn would have to be widened. Where would that land come from to widen the road?
Yeah, so I know there's a few thoughts on that. There's
And I guess you probably need to include the trail too, because that would
Right.
be part of it.
yeah, part of that would come from,
Well, and this is a bigger conversation. If we wanted to meet the requirements that are simply related to the truck traffic and the left turn lane coming onto Old Augusta Road, that would have to come out from the current developer. If the county wants to expand that and include stuff like a
A trail.
a trail and some drainage improvement as well. You know, we can speak to the property owner slightly to the north there, who's got to see if he's got some willingness there. He's got a 300-foot buffer that is no longer required because it's got, he's now adjoining industrial property. When he built it, he was adjoining residential property. So that's if we wanted to vastly improve the road as it gets down to Abercorn Landing and the park, keep in mind it's going to be a park as well. You know, that could be an option that we look at.
Well, I would think that would be the side of the road you'd want the trail on anyway.
That's correct, because that's the side of the, exactly.
Yeah.
Could be.
Very good.
Be
All right.
interesting.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll open this public hearing up. If anyone here is for, please come forward.
Hi, my name's Cindy Howes. Y'all know me, but, and I want to start out by saying I do appreciate all the hard work that y'all do. That being said, these people are living here. This area is all industrial. Should the rezoning not occur, the two back parcels, the IGO parcel, which is the number 5, and even parcels that are already zoned industrial will be landlocked if, you know, if it's not rezoned and allowed to be able to come in and out on Abercorn. So just by not allowing these to be rezoned will have a very detrimental impact on these owners.
Is it,
Anything else?
ma'am, any questions for her? I don't. Thank you, ma'am. Hello.
Hello, I am Matt Kuykendall. I'm with the developer on this project. Want to talk through the project as a whole here. We've pulled together this assemblage of properties. We've got 6 pieces under contract, and it started out with just a few, but it has grown as we've talked to the different owners. Because of how the zoning is, there are significant buffers between agriculture and industrial. So the best way we found forward was to pull everybody together and do it all in one project. We found that is the best way to address some of the front, some in the back, but to get everyone out of there together. We've talked to all these owners separately. Between the sizes and shapes and the buffers, the development has become clear that we kind of need the whole assemblage in an all or none situation. I know there are, we did talk last time about the wetlands and the floodplain. We are going to follow all the regulations required by federally, state, local. Engineers will be on top of that, and we have to factor that into our site planning. Access came up last time, and Jonathan took all the bullets out of my gun, talked about all the points. We have had discussions with the neighbor. We cannot commit to that right now. We're trying. I feel good about it, but without having, if that's our only option, we just, it will take away kind of our negotiating stance, and they may see that. When it comes to what will we commit to, what I had envisioned was, yes, there would be a right-in, right-out that would control most of the traffic coming into our property, and probably would call for a decel lane onto Abercorn Road, a left turn lane, and the improvements of Abercorn Road up to where it enters our site. We'll try to appropriately stage that back from Old Augusta to where the intermixing of traffic is limited and protected. You know, we rarely have some of these industrial zonings where the residents around the neighborhood are supportive of it. Many of the residents, the owners are here, and the surrounding neighbors. There's not a lot left. There's only a handful. Everyone's has industrial property built up around them. This is part of the future land use plan. As developers, we use the future land use to help us guide where appropriate growth can be. Sites like this can be tough because they're the last ones left, but we would rather take on those challenges and be in the location that's been planned by the county for these type of developments. Any questions?
I don't believe so.
Will
Anyone?
the Abercorn portion of it be exit only?
We have not committed to that, but I would prefer it not to be.
Why?
That just having multiple access points,
If you got a ride in, I mean, who's gonna come from the north?
very few people.
Exactly.
I mean, are you asking for
Yeah.
it to be? We could consider it. Double A
If
route.
it goes that way, you know, I've got some concerns and some comments on that, but it's just
Yeah.
legitimate question on that, just to keep that,
And I think a lot of that'll flesh out with the traffic study.
Yes.
yeah.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Anyone else here for? Please come forward.
Hello, good evening. I am Scotty Moore, and I, along with Candace Gaines back there, we are realtors assisting Jerry and Gail Phillips with the sale of their property at 1837 Old Augusta Road. And the buyer of that property would be Holiday Properties. Their land has already been rezoned, and it butts up to the two parcels that are in front of you today. So I'll be talking about this item on the agenda and the next one in this speech. So land in all directions around them is already zoned industrial, and that is in line with the comprehensive plan. You have an entity here that is working well with the county and willing to work with the master plan to protect Abercorn Road and improve it to be conducive to future traffic. Regarding the Abercorn Landing, as an example, if you have ever put your boat in at Houlihan Boat Ramp in Port Wentworth, which I have, you had to pull in and out of that parking lot with a heavy boat and heavy truck traffic coming and going from South Carolina on 17. That is a busy boat ramp, used 7 days a week, and things have gotten along just fine there for decades, even with the recent bridge reconstruction. In contrast, the Abercorn Creek boat ramp is generally considered a quiet, low-traffic boat launch. Boaters and locals describe it as a chill ramp, not very busy, and very quiet on weekdays. While it sees a mild uptick on weekends, like Sunday afternoons, it rarely suffers from the stressful crowds found at major waterways. This ramp is used for small to medium-sized vessels due to the steep ramp and the mud conditions. So to deny these residents rezoning, partly based on a chill ramp, one that's not very busy, is an injustice. Putting a handful of boaters as a higher priority than the long-term residents that will have to pay inordinate taxes due to reassessed industrial values and live amongst a heavy industrial area that the county planned on and approved. Let me put things in perspective for you, please. These properties have already been reassessed 3 times since 2023, and now are assessed at almost $3 million, far less than what they are attempting to sell for. And that $2,876,000 and $311 assessment that this county imposed has went up from $172,000 in 2023. Denial would not only cause a quality of life reduction from lack of peace and enjoyment, which is their right as a landowner, but would also create an inordinate financial burden being taxed at that value. The residential homeowners here are anxious to move out of the area since the industrial growth and the truck traffic have greatly increased all around them. State law under Georgia 59-9-1, the right to enjoyment of private property is an absolute right. Any act that unlawfully interferes with this enjoyment is considered a tort. Effingham County's master plan has this area designated industrial as the best use. It would be a disservice to the person who owns the land, since the county has already affected the property around them, to deny these applications. And the county actually has an entity here, Holiday Properties, that is working well with the county. If you have a current entity willing and able to facilitate this assemblage properly, if denied, then I can't see where any entity would be successful. And these residents would be stuck, creating the removal of peace and enjoyment. This request would continue the existing industrial development pattern. Each of these Effingham County residents purchased their land long ago, and industrial zoning has, in the recent years, been approved, and land has been assembled up and down Old Augusta Road. To not grant these two applications in front of you would have these residential residents surrounded by heavy industrial traffic and make it impossible to sell their land individually for any decent value and move away. I have researched 5-acre parcels that have sold residentially in Effingham County in the last 6 months. And as residential, they range from about $150,000 for 5 acres, plus or minus a little, to $270,000. And to try to sell them as industrial would be impossible without assemblage. So where are these current residents going to go for $150,000 to $270,000? If they're not allowed to assemble with a cooperative entity already involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for? Please come forward. As I see none. Anyone here against? Please come forward.
Good evening, commissioners and chairman. My name is Isaiah Scott. I spoke 2 weeks ago when this was first proposed, and I'm kind of here reinforcing my statement against this proposal. And I'm a founder of Rook and Roots Conservancy, and I'm also speaking in support of Rita Elliott from Effingham, Georgia Green, who also spoke 2 weeks ago. This proposal to put industrial development on, basically this is all wetlands, will come with a lot of negative effects. Obviously, we are losing our wetlands in Effingham County, and it just, at some point, how much of our wetlands are we gonna lose? We know how important it is for flood mitigation, for drinking water, for just livelihoods for people in this county, and also for our wild neighbors, our wildlife. And that's something that I'm strongly speak for, and always speak for living things that don't have a voice to say, they can't come here and say don't develop on my home. But I just think how close it is to the Abercorn Creek. It's just really concerning, having another industrial development so close to it. And this trend of industrial development along the Abercorn already, and as it was stated, how other land and property owners are having their property rezoned, and so it should be right for other people, and that is absolutely true. These property owners have the right to, if they're able to, have the freedom to develop or to make any decisions with the land, but I believe this is something that is done just to follow the crowd and to do something just because it seems like that's what everyone else is doing. But there is another way that doesn't have to destroy wetlands. I don't think people should follow this crowd to destroy our wetlands. And I think there's other great uses that this could be, such as a park or maybe even a green space for visitors who are going to this boat, like to and from the boat ramp. And I'm owning a nature preserve that's 16 acres, and I'm setting up to possibly even make $100,000 a year or so, just, making income off of protecting nature. And there are other ways that you can make income without destroying the wetlands, destroying the natural history of the land, which is ultimately our identity here in Effingham, these natural landscapes. And I think that's all I have to say against this proposal. And just wanted to say, please consider the wetlands and our protecting the natural and cultural heritage of Effingham County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. Anyone else here against, please come forward. Being I see none, I'll close the public hearing. Open this for discussion with the board. Phil, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, I will. I know the last meeting, we, I guess it was a little bit of a curveball. We didn't understand I didn't, the interest off of Abercorn. But having met with Kimley Horn, who was doing the work, the design work on Old Augusta, and with Jonathan, I think as Tim spoke earlier, there's a lot of benefit potentially with the improvements needed at that. If we continue on with the improvements at the boat landing, we're going to need the improvements at Abercorn. So there's a lot of benefit there. I like the right in, right out that I think will probably take I will say probably half of the traffic that'll be at least entering. But that's my opinion. These folks, I mean, they've kind of been sitting there, all the other parcels that have already gone industrial. It's, these folks deserve a fair shake and a look at this. That's my opinion.
Very good. Commissioner Helmy, anything to add?
Well, this is a hard vote. I definitely sympathize with the position these people are in as this land got developed over the years. And I mean, I've ridden down that road since it was a dirt road that everybody hated to ride down because it was so muddy and mess. So it is unfortunate they're in this mess. I'm not going to, I wasn't here when the future land use map of this area was considered to be industrial. I'd have probably fought it then, to be honest. I just don't think, for the reasons that Isaiah mentioned, this area should have been industrial. I know it's close to the ports, but I would have taken issue with that. I voted against other warehouse projects on this for the same reasons. I am concerned environmentally with it, and I'm still concerned. I know it's maybe the last hurrah piece, although there's some other ones that could come up in the future, but I understand the situation they're in, but we're still covering up wetlands. I am still concerned. I know that the road improvements to Evercorn and all that, but I still have a safety issue there with the trucks coming out, and I don't know what Commissioner Burdett's going to say on that. He knows more about trucking than I do, but I couldn't vote for it before. When I ran for office, my constituents said, we just don't want any more warehouses. We just want you to stop. Can you stop the warehouses? So I feel part of my obligation, a good part of it, is to the people that elected me. So while I'm very sympathetic to those people that have been put in a bind here, I also have to look at a bigger picture. So.
Good. Mr. Loach, anything?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about on this, but I keep coming back to the fact that, I mean, we've we've approved industrial around these two parcels, and just where I'm at. I mean, I support it.
Very good. Mr. Burdette?
We're spending a lot on improvements for Abercorn Landing. And Commissioner Helming, last year, I remember 2 years ago when we approved this or went down that road, gave me an idea of bigger buffers around waterways. I think we need that. And if we'd have had that in place, it would have probably carved out a large amount of this and we wouldn't be in the predicament we're in today. But fortunately, we're here. This is going to get purple no matter what. And it needs to be because of the surrounding areas. And it would be an injustice to the homeowners. But I will make the point that I believe they should be able to get an entrance off of Old Augusta, and I'll tell you why. And it's actually a precedence we've set before on McCall Road. We have McCall Road on the corner of McCall and Gateway, and we required them to get access to Gateway to keep the truck traffic off of McCall. And they didn't own any land there. They had to go find the land, buy the land, come back. We put the burden on the developer, not the people. And they found a way to do it. So there is always a way to do it and keep the truck traffic off Abercorn Road. I do trucks for a living. Although that's what feeds my family, I try to watch out for everybody's safety. I know what they're like to be around every day. I don't want them around my house. If I were going to go that way, I would definitely ask for an exit only if we're going to do that on Abercorn. It wouldn't hurt business a bit. I know that for a fact. You could go right in, right out, and do your exit only on Abercorn and cut down a lot on that traffic. I think if you guys worked a little bit, you could probably get a deal and get it all on. There's got to be a way to get it on Old Augusta. We can't be that hamstrung. But I got an email from one of the constituents over there, the Phils, and to ride it. So I went and drove it, and it's been a long time since I've been down there. And they're right. It's time to do something over there. It really is. They need to be sold and moved out of there. I totally agree. But also rode down Abercorn. It's a beautiful area, trees, and I felt like I just went back in time for a moment there. And it was on a Friday, and there was 3 or 4 people back there putting in, and it's just a nice little area. And we're going to put $1.5 million or something like that in that area. It's tough. It's tough. I wish there was a way. The developer's great. They've done good stuff with us. The way to do something different than put it on Abercorn and still take care of these people over there and get them in a different home. That's my 2 cents.
Very good. Mr. Floyd?
Future land use map shows it industrial. They're surrounded by industrial. It would be an injustice not to support this rezoning for that landowner. We'll be supporting it.
Very good.
And I will add to what Commissioner Burdette said about McCall Road. I get that, but I'm not gonna hold these property owners hostage to that for my vote.
Is there a possibility for an exit only on that? I think it would
We
take some of
maybe-
the burden out.
Maybe we,
Yeah, but again, we're getting ahead of ourselves when there's gonna be a traffic study. I'm not a traffic engineer.
If you don't do it now, it won't get done.
Well, the traffic study will be the traffic study.
I don't think they require that, because especially if we improve the road, but.
Do we require that the traffic study require?
No, I mean, just like on the other one, we required, you can't use McCall.
Yeah.
They found a way not to use McCall. We said, make this an exit only if you want to use this road and develop it.
But I'll go back.
Wouldn't be out of character
Back to
for
the
us to
point,
do
we
that.
need improvements on that road for the
We do.
landing and the improvements, and I think this is an opportunity
And it is.
to get that.
And I agree,
Um,
but my point
I
on
think the
that,
two can coexist. I use the boat ramp, and
Mhm.
I'd be using it more if I could get my boat out of the shop, but I do
point
use
on
that.
the exit, my point on the exit only, me being in that business, it would
Yeah,
not
I know.
burden anybody there to have exit only.
Yeah.
It wouldn't burden the developer, it wouldn't burden the people in the building or anything like that.
It may be difficult to enforce.
Yeah, but truck drivers, you got great ones that are awesome and some are not gonna, but if you did, arrows and stuff and exit only, you capture a lot of it. And And we try to enforce that in the county all the time. We've got an issue on Goshen Road Extension right now where they're tearing it up, and when we approved that, gosh, 5, 6, 7 years ago, supposed to be no trucks there, and there's trucks there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's hard to control, I agree.
We had the issue with signage, hopefully that's corrected.
Yeah, that didn't help any.
Yeah.
So Commissioner Burdette, I agree with you on the buffers, but this property's 1,300 feet. It's one of the furthest away from some pre-existing zoning that we have presently enacted. Concern as far as the IDA property where it falls on the wetlands and everything in the back and the marsh back there. So I'm just doing a little due diligence as I was looking and measuring things as I was going down of what's already approved. And this property does have quite a buffer from some of the others as far as where it falls on the marshland that's in the back. So anyway, if no further discussion, I'm going to entertain a motion.
Yep, that, I'd make a motion to approve with, planning board's recommendations.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
One, no.
Okay. 2 noes, 3 yeses. Okay. Motion carries. No second reading tonight. That'll come at the next meeting, which will be July 21st. Okay, July 21st. All right, moving to item 4. Planning Board recommends approving an application submitted by Matthew Kuykendall as agent for Connie Reiner to rezone plus or minus 4.76 acres located at 1827 Old Augusta Road South from AR1 to HI to allow for permitted uses in HI. Map number 477A, parcel number 1 in the 5th District. Open this public hearing. Anyone here for, please come forward. If you need to.
Okay, well, everything we just talked about.
yeah.
was
Okay.
just-
Ditto.
I don't
All
think
right.
there's anything else to be added, is it?
Anyone else here for? Anyone here opposed?
I just like to add one thing, if you don't mind. You don't want to step up?
Come on up.
Just one more detail about the boat ramp, which I totally respect boat ramps, but that is also probably a very unused ramp. The park may be used, but the ramp during 4 months or 5 months out of the year due to winter and cold times. So I just don't think it's fair to punish the residents when a boat ramp is used only certain months of the year. Thank you.
And Scotty's one of the only women I know that puts her own boat in and takes it out too.
Yes, girl power.
I will say it's heavily used by duck hunters.
Yeah, it is, it
during the
is.
winter.
And we're looking at, doing quite a few improvements to that area too, so I think it's gonna gain some traction as well. Anyone else here? I'll close the public hearing, open up for discussion. Phil?
I think you had to see if anybody was,
I did the opposed already.
oh, you did? I'm
Yes, ma'am.
sorry, I missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so we're closed
Okay.
on the public hearing.
No, I'm
I
good.
mean, I can say what I said, or say ditto, or,
Okay.
but I share the same sentiment as I did the last item.
I do too, so there's no need to say it again.
All right, so we have dittos across the board.
Well, like I said, I would support it with an exit only. I'm not trying to punish anybody for their homes. That's the last thing I'd want to do. I think it needs to go and go that way, just like a little less traffic on Abercorn.
Very good. Have a motion?
Make a motion to approve with planning board recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
All right, 3-2. The second reading will be also July 21st. We'll see you guys then. All right, items 6, 7, 8, and 9 have been
Planning board now, I guess.
so we are into the
Yeah,
regular.
the real planning board.
Yeah, the real.
Chairman, for the next 4 items, I'll have to step down on property adjacent to this.
Yes, sir. All right, moving into item number 1 into the section 15 planning board. Please note, Commissioner Floyd has stepped away. This is a public hearing, consideration to approve an application by Michelle Schuman as agent for Beverly Boyles for a variance from section 3.15A located at 1447 Georgia Highway 17 South to allow for a non-conforming AR1 lot to have a residential business. Map number 296, parcel number 46 in the First District.
Thank you. Kimberly Barlett, Senior Planner. I'll speak to both requests concurrently. The recent revisions to the residential business ordinance now require that any lot not meeting minimum size requirements must be brought into compliance prior to consideration of a conditional use, which is why the variance is in place. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use to operate a home-based financial planning practice within an existing accessory structure. The business will consist of the applicant and her son providing remote financial planning services to clients. Approximately 80% of the business operations will be conducted via Zoom meetings. However, the state requires a physical office location for this type of business. The existing accessory structure measures 20 feet by 30 feet and will be utilized as an office space for client meetings. 4 parking spaces are proposed with access from Go-Kart Road. Should an additional parking be necessary, ample space is available in the rear of the property. Given the limited number of in-person client meetings, approximately 2 to 5 per week, and the expectation that only one client will be on site at a time, the proposed parking is considered accurate. Proposed hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Signage is proposed to be mounted on the building. The proposed use is consistent with the intent of residential business regulations and comprehensive plan, as it is limited in scale, owner-operated, and compatible with surrounding residential area. The business is not expected to generate significant traffic, noise, or other impacts that would adversely affect neighboring properties. Customer visits will be infrequent, and adequate on-site parking is available to accommodate anticipated demand. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, ma'am.
Sorry.
If the applicant has anything they want to add, please come forward.
Hi, I'm Michelle. I just want to add that it is a very small business that I run. For the longevity of my business, I've been in Effingham County for 10 years. My son is 20. He plans on taking over, I know. He plans on taking over the business. He's currently in school for finance. He's actually going to reside on the property in the house, so he's going to have a very short commute. That's why we're applying for conditional use and not looking at something crazy like commercial. Simply because we want that property to remain residential. It has a historic home on it that was built in 1890. I am a very big advocate of trying to preserve that without taking away from it, and that's why this property was ideal. I can put my business in the back, do a simple build out on that 3-car garage, and then he can live in the 2-bedroom house. Any questions?
No, ma'am. Anyone else here for, please come forward. Anyone here opposed, please come forward. I see none. I will close the public hearing, open this up for discussion with the board.
Yeah, I'll start off. Michelle reached out to me. She knew my district came close to that area, and as Kimberly said, it's a financial services business, so everything will be done inside. There's not a lot of retail or a lot of traffic with how she conducts her business, so I don't think it will be a big change for the area with her doing that.
Good.
Yeah, she did me as well. So talk with her about it. I think this is ideally what we have this ordinance for. It's the same, this type of business. It's perfect for it.
Okay. If anyone else has anything they want to add, please do. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed. Motion carries. Item 2, second reading. Consideration to approve the second reading for an application by Michelle Schuman as agent for Beverly Boyles for a variance from section 3.15A located at 1447 Georgia Highway 17 South to allow for a non-conforming AR1 lot to have a residential business. Map number 296, parcel number 46 in the first district.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item 3, consideration to approve an application by Michelle Schuman as agent for Beverly Boyles for a conditional use to allow for a residential business in AR1 located at 1447 Georgia Highway 17. Map number 296, parcel number 46 in the first district.
Did you want me to speak to it again?
I don't think so.
I mean, if there's no questions or concerns on this, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Moving to second reading, consideration to approve the second reading for an application by Michelle Schuman as agent for Beverly Boyles for conditional use to allow for residential business in AR1 located at 1447 Georgia Highway 17 South, map number 296, parcel number 46 in the first district.
I'll make a motion to approve the second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
All right.
Take a minute.
You want to move forward, or you want to take a quick minute?
I could use a minute.
Take a little
About
break.
5 minutes?
Just
Okay.
5 minutes.
Let's take a 5-minute,
Bathroom break.
which means, ends up being 10.
I'm actually glad they did that, because I
I'm going to call this back to order. We'll be moving into, I believe, new business item number 2. This will be a public hearing. Consideration to approve the second reading of the budget ordinance for the fiscal year 26-27 budget.
Yes, sir. Let me just pull the presentation up real quick. Is that showing on the screen? There we go. Sorry about that. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Barnes, the Finance Director. And tonight is the second reading of the fiscal year 27 budget and the vote to adopt the budget. For the previous meeting, we ran through a brief overview of the draft budget, and since that time, we've received some feedback and have made some refinements to the proposed budget and have released the final version to the board and the public. Tonight, I'm going to quickly give a little bit of a deeper dive into the budget than at the last meeting, and at the end, we'll quickly take a look at the new web version. The web version is with the OpenGov software that we've talked about throughout the year, and this version makes the budget much more easier to navigate, easier for the public to view, and more transparent than it's thus far ever been. So a little bit on the financial climate that we're developing the budget in this year. We estimate from conversations with the tax assessors a 10% increase in the countywide digest, which is still pretty good growth, a little bit down from last year, which was about 14% growth at that time, this time last year. Sales tax revenues are still trending upwards slowly. They're not like they were during the COVID year, so they're back down to kind of the more standard pace. And this year, like last year, we have a lot of projects that are funded with state grants, some major projects funded with those. And inflation is not as large a concern as it had been, but we're still keeping an eye on it for materials cost and capital projects, and as it affects everyday supplies and services in relation to fuel price increases that we've had recently. Also in this year, this kind of started in the current year, fiscal year 26, but it's going to continue into 27, where some of the projects that have been in development and in the works for a while are really starting to hit the budget and come out and see some fruition on those. So for the general fund, the proposed expenditures are at 87 million for this year, 87.6. Previously adopted was 60.1 in fiscal year 26. The vast majority of this increase is coming from an injection of general fund balance that we are transferring over to the capital project funds, mainly SPLOST and T-SPLOST. Whenever we have to move those funds over there, it counts as an expense for the general fund, and so that is where a big part of that increase is coming from. Another big change to the general fund this year was, and this was kind of brought up a little bit earlier, but there is a big increase for the public safety personnel, with the largest one of those being the deputies, but we'll get to that in just in the next slide. If we exclude the capital expenses and the transfers out from the general fund to our capital fund, so if we're looking just at operating costs, those are expected to go up 10%. And that 10% includes the COLA and merit that was talked about, includes the new law enforcement officers, and all other regular operating expense changes. We have the transfer I mentioned is about 28 million. And so that's a big chunk of the expense you see going from last year to this current year to the New Year's proposed budget is that. And of that, fund balance is almost 24 million of that. So the fund balance has been the piggy bank for the general fund, and this is stuff that, we kind of build up over the years in anticipation of capital projects, and we're going to see a lot more of that start to actually play out in outlays next fiscal year. We see a lot of that starting this year too, but it's going to be pretty heavy in the next fiscal year. So here we see fiscal year 26's actual millage rate on the left, and that's the millage rates that were on the fall tax bills. And on the right-hand side, we see the proposed rates that are just preliminary and just what we kind of, some of the assumptions we use of building the budget out for this next fiscal year. And so the big change here is we're taking the medical indigent rate and we're rolling that up into the county M&O. So that one zeroes out, and then we slightly decrease the overall millage rate across here down to an even 9.000.
So have we talked to Dr. Witt about that, what we were gonna do with that, with the indigent care?
Yes, and so,
I mean, I figure we did, but I just wanted to.
Yeah, I don't know if we brought it up last time, and I don't know, are you bringing it up in here, or do you
I
want me
have
to
a
bring it
little
up?
bit in there, yeah.
Okay, so I'll let him get to it.
Okay.
We are moving those expenses into their separate fund called the unreimbursed medical care. And that's outside the general fund, so we kind of divide the budget up into two sections, the general fund, and then every other fund is under the special fund section. And the unreimbursed medical care fund is in there, and that's going to include the commitment to the hospital, that's going to include jail and prison inmate medical care, and Two Rivers in that. So for the general fund personnel, some of this was already covered earlier, but there is a 2.5% COLA, 2.5% merit. There is the pay comp contract, which was approved by the board back in April, and that's underway, that's kind of started. And workforce development planning is something that, was talked about earlier, so I'll kind of skip over that. But the overall increase to the general fund personnel in terms of full-time equivalents from the adopted 2026 budget to this one is 32.94. We had a few of those, for instance, the capital project coordinators, those were approved mid-year. But the biggest changes here are the 20 new law enforcement officers, and they're going to be phased in over the year. They're not going to hit all at once. And we have 2 new paramedics, 1 new HVAC technician, and this was brought up earlier too, 3 new magistrate court employees to respond to the dollar limit of the cases that court has to hear is going to lead to increased workflow coming through that office. This slide just shows everything in the general fund at a department level that adds up to the total down there in the bottom right of the 87 million. And you see some changes through here. Probably the biggest one that jumps out is this other agencies down here, and this is where those transfers that we're going to shoot out to the capital funds for those projects, that's where they're housed in the budget, and that's why you see that large increase there. So the general fund is the main fund where our day-to-day service delivery comes from. Everything else, excuse me, is classified as a special fund, and special funds also include almost all of our capital expenditures are in there as well. SPLOST is a special fund. T-SPLOST is a special fund. But we also have in there, we have the Fire and Rescue Fund, we have Development Services, we have Public Works, and we have Recreation and a few others. The vast majority of our special funds do not have any personnel at all, but they are budgetary units. For fiscal year 27, the proposed amount is at $276.5 million. And like I said, a big chunk of that is going to be the capital projects going on across the county. A little over 200 million of that is those capital projects in this new budget. And of those 200 million capital projects, about 65 million are grant funded, with the largest of those being, as you all know, the new drinking water plant and the new wastewater treatment plant, but also some regular funding from GDOT every year. The overall number is down this year compared to the prior year. And a big chunk of that is because of the amount of the roads projects that were expended in fiscal year 26 and are still being expended now. And so with the special funds, when we look at them overall, you'll see a lot more fluctuations in those year to year, just based on the capital program and what's going out there at that time. Oh, and I did mention we are proposing a water bond this year for some of the water projects.
Are you getting quotes on that yet, or that's coming later?
It's coming later. We are working with the financial advisors right now, but we're looking at late summer.
Okay.
So in the personnel for the special funds, again, it's going to have a 2.5% COLA and a 2.5% merit with the same rules that were mentioned earlier. They must get their reviews in and everything, the same rules as the general fund personnel. There's a net increase of 13.5 FTEs in the special funds, And there were a few mid-year adjustments there, but most of that is 9 new firefighters that are going to be phased in about halfway through the year to coincide with the opening of a new fire station that's under construction. We also have a new park ranger position. This is a brand-new position in the county, and this is going to be an individual that is going to patrol facilities, especially on the high-traffic days at those. And then we had 2 new development services personnel. Like the general fund, this is a list of all the departments that are housed in the special funds. And we just see the list down here totaling up to $276 million. And in the special funds, you see a lot more fluctuation from year to year, like we said earlier, just based off of capital programs going on. There are a few new funds this year. I do want to point out some changes in the structure. The debt service fund, you see that has zeroed out. Part of that is we've retired the first T-SPLOS bond. That final debt service payment was made this fiscal year. And then the other change that went on there is that we're now housing those debt service expenses in the respective funds that relate to the bonds. So you'll see those expenses pop up in the SPLOS fund and the T-SPLOS 2 fund in the future, rather than this separate budgetary fund here. The special service districts for the industrial, the 3 new industrial special service districts, are now totally segregated in their own fund, and we have some of those here with Effingham Gateway, SSD, Research Forest, Interstate 16, just to keep those funds totally separate and a lot more transparent in where they're at, how much there are, and how they're going to be spent in the future. And the unreimbursed medical fund, we mentioned that a second ago. That's also listed down here. It's a new one, and it has its expenses for this year, and that's going to be what we use going forward for those types of outflows. So for the capital, this is looking at all funds capital, which again is in the majority, is mostly in special funds, but a little bit in the general fund. Almost 203 million total. This year, new for the budget book is we've included our 5-year CIP in the book itself. And I just kind of want to note that the only thing that gets appropriated each year is 1 year at a time in Georgia law. So 2027 is in there through 2031, but only 2027 is being proposed tonight for adoption. Out of all these projects, we have the continuation of the T-SPLOS road list and the roundabouts, and about 75 million across all funds for road projects. We have major water infrastructure projects, include, like we mentioned earlier, the new wastewater treatment plant and the new drinking water plant, both of which are underway. And funding for parks capital projects includes some funding for Clarence and Morgan Complex, Atlas, Clio, Highway 119, Abercorn Landing, Tommy Long Landing, Baker, Pinora Parks. Many of those are currently underway now and will continue on in this fiscal year. The SPLOS 5, which in prior years we called it SPLOS 2017 based on the year of the referendum, but we've renamed those funds this year based off of the count of how many SPLOS we've had in the county. And SPLOS 5 is projected to be completely expended at the end of fiscal year 27. And inside the budget and in the website, we're going to look at just real quickly after this, there is the detailed project listing in the 5-year CIP for everything that totals up to this $202.8 million. So some additional information, the agency recommended budgets are in this draft. So that includes the library system, the district attorney's office, and some other outside offices. The property tax millage rate, just a reminder, is not set tonight. We just show in this draft some of the assumptions that we built it off of. That'll take place at a future date. And items from the schedule of fees, like we normally do this time of year, will be brought before the board in a soon-to-be upcoming meeting to have those looked at. And if anyone wants to see the budget, traditionally we would have a 150, 160-page PDF, which is kind of clunky to navigate and clunky to go through. But now we do have a new website built out for it, and you can see that if you go to the effinghamcounty.org website and go to the finance page, and at the very bottom you'll see a big link that'll take you right to that.
We'll put a link on the homepage for the time being.
And let me pull that up too and give you all just a quick demonstration of that. So you go to departments, and then you'll go down to finance and accounting, and then at the Okay. All right, so this is the finance and accounting website on the accounting website. And in the budget here, when you click on that link, you'll go to the new system. And the budget is laid out kind of how we just covered it just now, where we talked about the general fund, special funds, and then capital projects. So in here on the website, these drop-down menus will allow you to navigate it very quickly. You'll see the budget ordinance that's going to be voted on tonight here and some information on the county. You will see general fund here with the overview, which covers a lot of some of the overall kind of statistics that we just talked about. And then individually here, you will see department websites with an overview of that department and what it does, and the detail of their 2027 budget. Special funds are set up the exact same way. You can browse each department budget through there. Capital projects, we have some pages for some of the biggest projects going on, and we have some pages that will show a little bit of media on that, and that also have the budget pulling through there. And this is also the system we're using to build dashboards going forward for all managers and department heads and elected officials to have a view like this to use throughout the fiscal year to monitor their ongoing spending and budget. But in addition to that, the 5-year CIP has its own section, and this is the capital plan. Now, this is a living document, and so this will be updated throughout the year as priorities and funding change and shift. But the 2027 capital projects are listed here. The CIP breaks them out by category. We have buildings here, we have equipment here, parks, roads, and so on all the way down. And that's kind of, this is the first time that we've had that included in the budget book. But it serves as kind of a general roadmap and a planning guide. But like I said earlier, only the 2027 column is being appropriated and voted on tonight. The others are there for planning purposes. And as a final section, we have our revenues here. And just to help people navigate the site easier, there's an index that has links to everything there. But with that, that is the fiscal year 27 budget.
That looks neat.
So if Dr. Witt asked me about the money on indigent care, that's still 3.6 million, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so in 2020, our county M&O millage rate, which is what we could control, was roughly, or right at 7.5 something something. And today it's 5.5 something something, correct?
That's correct. It's gone down pretty consistently for the past 5 years, I believe.
Yeah, and we've gotten some additional revenue sources that has allowed us to do that and still maintain the services. And also, you touched on this earlier, it has been over a longer period of time, but we have built up that the fund balance, but as anticipation, we knew we were going to have these capital projects coming. So that plan is coming together. How often do we get our bond rating updated? That's not on an annual basis, is it?
They'll do a review and they'll let us know when they're doing a review, like Moody's, and we could get an upgrade and an annual or biannual review. But when you do an issuance, you do actually have to pay for a full rating analysis. So that's generally.
So will we do that this year when we're looking at these bonds?
It could
later.
I think it will require it because we're looking at the mechanisms we're going to use for issuing the bonds. It probably would be better off for us because it is water and sewer that has an economic development nexus to utilize the IDA for the issuance of the bond. And since we are the ultimate backer of the bond, they will probably require a rating analysis of us during that issuance.
And we are, what is it, AA1 or AA2 right now?
We're 2 steps from AAA.
That's what I've always remembered. So okay, all right. Well, and as the folks were here earlier, our judges and our judicial folks So we're gonna wait till we get the salary study in, I guess, to come back and look at this, or is there, we'll have some other discussions before that, or what are
Correct,
your thoughts?
and again, you all could have discussions on the electeds. We left that, the actual pay of the elected officials or appointed officials, we left that kind of up to you all to decide. We can provide you some data if you need it. We can do some research if you'd like. But what's recommended in the budget with regards to staffing is, like you said, the 2.5 merit, 2.5 COLA, and the salary study. In addition, also funding the employee, what did you call it again?
Kind of the workforce development.
Yeah, workforce development funding, which is, the continuing education and giving employees a small bump based on what they provide.
So within the salary study, I think it was the solicitor, I think he had mentioned.
Yeah, he's the one that stood out.
His
yeah.
office manager, had been there, for 20-something years. And that just stuck out to me, but I asked that question just because. So in the salary study, does it give you salary comparisons like for each position, or does it kind of give you a high-level number for each
It will take in consideration, not just the equal position for the title and the pay band for that title, but also, which is one of the reasons why I don't want to just rely on the data from the service that we, but also go to the departments to find out tenure, because that can affect pay as well. And so it'll try and incorporate all that in there.
When will that COLA and merit take effect?
The COLA will take effect July 1st. The merit will take effect as soon as that department completes all of their
Reviews.
Well, that's gonna happen pretty quick. That's,
Yeah.
on a $20 an hour employee, that's $1.
So, like with the
Provided they get it, the whole thing, the
Yeah.
whole 5%.
So like with the sheriff's office, I know if we approve the new positions, and part of those will be funded immediately, right? And then we're funding some of those
Yes,
later due to the position.
And we left that up to the sheriff, so we did not quite, but it's about 50% would be July 1st and 50% would be January 1st. And then we did something similar to the magistrate. We were going to approve 2 positions. He had asked for the third, and we said we can do it within the budget if we can delay the hiring of those 2 of those positions to January 1st, and he agreed to it.
Okay. And the positions with fire, will those be immediately added, or does that come later? Or?
Yeah, those are January.
Because that's funding a new station.
Yeah, that's
So
funding a
that
new
would-
station,
okay,
right? So we're
that's
trying
right.
to time it so we can get there then in before the new station opens, so they can go through training, and then get them to man the station once it's open. Obviously, they'll spread them out to different stations, and they'll reassign folks, but that's the goal.
Okay.
When do we anticipate the workforce development portion to be implemented?
And what we'd like to do on that is to get with the workforce development coordinator that we have at the county. We've moved a position in HR to concentrate on that, and so we're going to send out an email and saying, hey, if you've got certification upgrades, because they're going to have to. You can't do it immediately, right? Because they're going to have to actually get the certifications so they can get the upgrade. Mm-hmm. And I do want to review. I do want a set of eyes to review these, right? Because if something was a prerequisite in order to get the job, that's not necessarily something that somebody gets a.
Right. You may have some special circumstances where these people already have the certifications, so
Yeah.
it may bump them up a notch.
Right. So they're
from
not
the jump.
behind someone who just got hired and didn't have it.
Right.
So that's, and again, we want to make sure that whatever the pay bump is commensurate with what sort of certification they got. So if they had a certification that had a 2-hour class online, that's not necessarily something you're getting a $2 an hour pay bump for.
Right.
And so we just wanted to have a third party within the county to make sure that these monies are being allocated properly.
Is that also going to handle the job description situation as well? I mean, is that going to be all done at the same time? The updating?
No,
of the
they're
job?
separate. I mean, we're going to be doing it simultaneously, but it's going to be separate, two separate processes.
Is there gonna be some kind of approval I mean, you just can't just go take the course on your own and expect to get I mean, I would assume you'd have to go to your department head and say.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Needs to be an approved.
It needs to be an approved.
And so if you've got like a planner one position, right? When you go to get the workforce development plan for that position, it's not for the person, it's for the position. It's going to have a list of things that you can get certified for and get pay bumps, assuming that you get approval by your department head. So this way, everything will be vetted in advance to make sure, that it's actually relevant to the position that they're in.
I'd certainly appreciate anything y'all can give me that I can look at ahead of time if we're gonna review, our constitutional officers and all the judges.
Sure.
I do think, though, that at the top of the list should be the solicitor, because it looks like he's on a hold through no course of his own. He's not received anything per the legislature and all that. So I don't know that he might be one we might need to review and look at a little sooner.
Sure.
Based on what he said tonight.
Right.
It looks like he's sort of caught,
Yeah, you got frozen.
with the action of
He
the
got
legislative
frozen
body. He got frozen,
And the
yeah,
state court judge got,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
bumped.
Yeah, so I think in his case, he's got a valid, for us to look at his, I'm not saying we will or will not, but we need to make a decision on him.
Correct,
Because
yeah.
we can make a decision quicker than the legislative branch in Atlanta.
That's right. And then if the legislature makes a,
back.
Yeah.
decision, we can figure out, we can make sure we have language in there that reverts it back.
Right.
Have any more discussion on the budget? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget.
Second.
Motion to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item
Thank you
3,
for all your hard work.
Yes, ma'am.
consideration to approve to submit a CSX right of entry application for 9th Street resurfacing project in Rankin.
Yeah, County Engineer Jonathan Holm. Keep this short. So this is an application for a permit with CSX to finish out the resurfacing of 9th Street that is already ongoing. We're doing the resurfacing of 9th Street. I think they've actually just finished up for the most part, minus this one little bit. So if the board were to approve it, we could get a flagman there to finish out the last little bit that's there on 9th Street. So staff's recommending.
CSX the first set from 21 or the second set?
It's the first set. It's the one
Okay.
right next to the
By Parker's.
Parkers. Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries. Moving to item 4, consideration to approve the additional work proposal from McClendon Enterprises, Inc. for roadway resurfacing and associated improvements under T-Splosh Maintenance Resurfacing 2025 D3, D4, and D5 project.
Yeah, so this change order here is additional work. This is the roads that were identified in the LMIG, or it's the LRA grant that you guys approved last month, or last BOC meeting. So we were able to come to an agreement to using the contract prices that were already in the contract to add this additional work. This also would give them an extension to their contract for another 167 days. I think that is just about in September, if I'm recalling correctly. So staff is recommending approval of the change order.
Well, I missed that on the agenda, so there's some D3 roads.
So the,
That's great news.
well, so this is, our current contract is what it's in.
I thought it was mostly District 1, but that might have been a different contract we talked about last time.
It's about 50/50, between District 4, and then there are the District 1 roads as well.
All right, I'll go back and pull it
And I
up.
got D5, but I didn't see any actual road names.
Right, it's the LRA road, so it's like Log Landing Road, Log Landing Circle, there's Shirley Drive, and then there were some around Interstate Drive, and I think River Road Spur, if I'm remembering correctly, but it's the list there from there. So anyway, looking to try to get these in. The contractor, they're looking to pave these roads sooner than later. So they're wanting to be actually complete with the roads here by the end of July is what they're trying to do.
Would you ask Jake to please get all that out on
I
our
will.
webpage and all as soon as he can, since it's gonna be somewhat unexpected for these people? Happily, the
Yes,
ones you
ma'am.
mentioned in my district anyway, but.
That's right. They're
But it would be nice to go ahead and get that out there.
Yes, ma'am, and I had a really good conversation with Commissioner Burdette today about looking to try to tighten down on our scheduling with some of these contractors, and trying to, hold them more accountable to our schedule, and not even our schedule, it's really their scheduling that they're giving us, cause we'll put information out saying, hey, it's coming.
I know.
And then.
Then it doesn't.
And then it doesn't. And so, you know, I apologize about that. So anyway, we're looking at trying to revise our contract going forward to get that locked up.
But what you might say that Jake can just say this year. Maybe
They're saying into
That'll
July.
give you some, I know, but you might
Right.
want
Need some cushion.
it'd be
In the near
better,
future.
to-
And give them plenty of notice. when
given
we
our
do blocking
parkway
them off as
situation,
well,
it's
so,
best to just,
yeah.
Just say it's coming.
just say it's coming.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. So with that, staff's recommending approval.
Very good. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries. Item 5, consideration to approve change order number 4 for the I-07B roundabout at Blue Jay Road and Hodgeville Road with J.A. Long.
Yeah, so this one, not jumping up and down about, but how this came about is we're doing the water extension with the last change order. We approved that. The idea is that we were gonna be able to use the butterfly valves, they're valves that turn off the water main. And when we went out to do the investigation to see if those would close, the butterfly valves were not able to turn off, which is a problem, especially on a big 36-inch water main. And so anyway, this change order here is us pivoting from our original plan, being able to utilize the existing valves to turn it off. We're going to have to do a line stop on a 36-inch water main, which I'm not excited about. But this is what we got to do to get that work done. So this contract also will make J.A. Long whole on the Blue Jay Hodgeville roundabout. It is pushing it out till, I believe, the end of March, if I'm recalling correctly. Yep, March 24th. So the time extension, I think, is fair based off of the delays that we've been waiting for, parts to get ordered and material and just the delay there. So with that, staff's recommending approval of the change order.
We're good. No discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative 1.
Second.
I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I need to recuse myself on items 6, 7, and 8 due to a previous banking relationship.
Very good. Let the record reflect, Commissioner Deloach is recusing himself. Item 6, consideration to approve amendment number 6 to the Master Services Agreement for Professional Services with EOM Operations to renew the agreement for an additional term.
Good evening. Danielle Carver, Procurement and Contracts Manager. We are requesting approval of Amendment 6 to the Master Agreement for Professional Services with EOM Operations. This amendment renews the existing agreement for an additional one-year term. allowing the county to continue utilizing EOM operations for professional engineering services under the established task order process. So staff recommends alternative one.
Thank you, ma'am. No discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve alternative one.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item 7, consideration to approve task order 12 to the master agreement with professional services with EOM Operations, a division of EOM Public Works LLC for civil engineering services, municipal separate storm sewer system, compliance services, watershed protection plan monitoring, and related engineering and consulting services.
Yes, sir. Task Order 12 under the master agreement for professional services with EOM Operations. Task order provides municipal separate storm sewer system, MS4, compliance services, watershed protection plan monitoring, and general engineering support services for fiscal year 2027. So staff recommends alternative one.
Thank you, ma'am. No discussion, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item 8, consideration to approve amendment number 9 to the agreement for operations, maintenance, and management services with EOM Operations.
This amendment updates the agreement to reflect fiscal year 2027 approved budget, adjusts department operating limits and structure, and adds 3 lift stations to the wastewater collection system, authorizes additional staffing, and increases the annual base fee. So staff recommends alternative one.
Again, if we have any discussion, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Mr. Loach, I'll give you the opportunity to come up.
The Omnitrax lift station, where is that exactly? Is that the one,
The what?
the Omnitrax lift station, where is that exactly?
Park West lift station or?
Omnitrax?
OmniTrack that they added.
Is that, Gateway, the new one? Okay.
Moving into new business item 9, consideration to award a construction contract for the Park West Pumping Station Rehabilitation Project to Southern Civil LLC.
Yes, sir. This project will rehabilitate and upgrade critical wastewater infrastructure by replacing aging pump station components and improving system reliability and capacity. So following a competitive invitation for bid process, Southern Civil LLC submitted the lowest responsive and responsible bid. So staff recommends alternative one.
Very good, thank you. No discussion. I'll entertain a motion.
It's big.
It's huge.
It's a big one.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries. Item 10, consideration to approve contract number R220202 with Omnia Partners for the purchase, installation, and site improvements associated with new playground equipment at the Clarence C. Morgan Complex.
Yes, sir. This project will provide a new destination playground featuring modern play equipment, ADA accessible components, shade structures, seating areas, safety surfacing, and related site improvements. So staff recommends alternative one.
Very good.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries.
Playground equipment is sure expensive, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
Good. I mean, I'm glad we're doing it, but
Item 11, consideration to approve contract R220202 with Omnia Partners for the purchase, installation, and site improvements associated with new playground equipment at Clio Community Park.
This project will provide a modern ADA accessible playground featuring the custom Supermax play structure, swings, shade structures, benches, safety surfacing, and related site improvements designed to enhance recreational opportunities for families in the Clio community. So staff recommends alternative one.
Supermax is a prison, isn't it?
Supermax play structure.
Oh, okay.
Let's add
Gotcha.
play structure on that.
Very good. Keep some kids there. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries.
Glad we're doing the shading and that type of thing.
Moving into item 12, consideration to approve revisions to the rules of procedure for the Board of Commissioners. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and board members, hopefully you all have had an opportunity to go through the amended rules of procedure. This is an initiative initiated by Commissioner Burdette, I would say, discussed with legal and staff. The changes have been made as recommended by Commissioner Burdette to include a line item titled Planning Board Unfinished Business, which will be listed under our 6 p.m. segment on our agenda. There are some other minor changes there as well to correct typos and duplications. Any questions?
Thank you. I appreciate you doing this.
pleasure,
It's-
sir.
Just for the public knowledge, it's going to put everything at 6 p.m. Even if it gets tabled or moved, the way everybody has a chance to show up. It's hard to show up at 5 o'clock if you're working every day, so.
It removes that appearance as well of
It
developers
does.
trying to push it to an earlier time slot, so.
I think it
And it all
allows.
complies with like our local enabling legislation and all, it's all.
Correct.
It
There
gives-
is one other item of notable mention. Under section 5.02, postponing of zoning public hearings. It was originally listed as 24-hour notification. We changed that to 48 hours,
Right, it's good.
if that's okay with you all.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. It's great.
Very good.
That's all I have.
Good motion to approve alternative one.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed, motion carries. Item 13, consideration to approve resolution 026-015 to introduce local legislation authorizing a local homestead option sales tax, L-host. Tim?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a resolution basically showing our support for the introduction of local legislation authorizing the local homestead option sales tax, which is a new sales tax which has to get approved by local legislation in the State House prior to allowing the board to put it up for referendum in November. The governor has allowed this to occur in the special session, which is beginning this week. This is not a necessarily required step, the resolution of support, but the legislative delegation for the county does like to get the confirmation of support from the board. Recommending alternative one.
I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Have a motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
One opposed, motion carries. Moving into reports from Commissioners, Administrative Staff. Tim, we'll start with you.
I actually have a kind of lengthy update on the capital projects, but
Tim, we'll move from you,
because of
and
the
we'll go
hour,
to
I will
Keith.
email it to you all. And just to know we're making progress. That's my report.
Okay, very good. Let's see what you did there. Clever. Commissioner Kiefer?
No, I thought our workshop, our retreat, one-day retreat Friday went well, enjoyed that, and I think we accomplished a lot.
Commissioner Helmy?
I'll concur with that. I thought it was good and a lot of information presented. Once again, thanks again to the budget people. A lot of hard work. I will say though, in listening to the judges and the constitutional officers that came up tonight to discuss things, if that's going to happen, I would prefer, and I know this may be and I don't mind it happening. In fact, I think it's good that they presented the amount of cases, the amount of work. I have no problem with that. I just like it sort of spread out maybe next time, so as not to take too much time. And I think it would be better for them too if they had an opportunity to say, we want you to come, and, just assign them. This is when you're come. I don't think there's any problem with that, but I enjoyed hearing what, I know they were doing it.
I think it was just Neil on the agenda, right?
It was only one on the agenda,
Yeah,
and then we had everybody. So, like I said, I'm not objecting to them coming. In fact, like I said, I enjoyed it. I took a bunch of notes about, I think sometimes we don't realize what all they do. And I think that's important, but I would like it spread out maybe next year.
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise, I'm glad to hear about the roads.
Yeah, just a few things. As Commissioner Helmy said, I thought that was very informative with the judicial side, and I took notes as well. There was definitely some things I did not realize until tonight. Question: when did we set a date last time for our next, I guess, joint retreat with the cities, or did we, or that's something that's to be determined at some point?
I can find out. I actually don't remember.
Okay.
And I can find out from you. I know we're going to try and get together to discuss ways that we can work together on water and sewer. And that we actually have a meeting. I might be this week, might be tomorrow. I just have to check my schedule with regards to SPLOST organization. So while we have regular meetings, kind of like big, kind of a joint, get together like that, I don't think we actually have another date settled, but I may be wrong.
Okay, all right. And last thing, I got a call today from Jeffrey Harden, owner of Harco Construction. He said that code enforcement's been coming by his pit a lot over there on McCall, and I can't remember the other road that the pit is off of. But anyway, it's just outside of Springfield. But
Yep.
he said, I'm keeping a sweeper there, a water truck. He's like, I don't know what else I can do, but he said, I just wanted to pass it along. So I don't know if there's something specific we need to communicate with him, or but
My guess is we always, the only times, 9 times out of 10, unless we drive by and actually see dirt in the road, we are responding to a complaint, but they may know what's going on here, so go ahead.
Yeah,
okay.
it looks like it.
One thing I would maybe recommend is instead of having a dirt, driveway, that they could, put a paved surface there, whether it's concrete or asphalt. That way there's not repeat dirt being swept up into McCall Road.
And we actually require, that's an older pit, before we put our standards in place. If he wanted to do that voluntarily, that would be great. If he ever wants to expand that, we could require it. But it's worked well on the other pits that we've had since we do that.
And that's doing what now? Paving?
That's paving, and actually GDOT requires it whenever a surface mine is on a state road. It's basically paving through the right-of-way onto the property versus just having a dirt apron.
Okay.
Because it gives more opportunity for the dirt to get off the tires prior to getting on the road.
Okay.
What about doing like the really large aggregate that?
I think we have that in the requirement now too, if I'm correct. But that could be a suggestion where you do the aggregate, and I forget what it's kind of like a shaker box type of thing.
Yeah.
And then you do the asphalt, and then you do the road.
Construction exit, is what it is in the erosion control terms. The larger aggregate they could put there, and there's a wash station that they could do, to wash down. You typically see that more on construction sites, but.
Yeah, I've noticed several.
For this one, I think the paved apron would do.
The long term.
It's all about 95% of the issue.
He's probably running 50 trucks out of there a day.
Maybe more.
Maybe more. And I don't know. I just drive by.
Jeffrey knows how to pave, for sure.
And it does make a mess.
He can do it all.
It does
I
make a
haven't
mess.
been, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's just part of the game, but it does make a mess.
I'm done.
Mr. Burdette?
I'm good.
Lloyd?
I'm good.
I don't have anything myself. Madam Clerk, anything? Any announcements?
I've
Okay.
emailed everything I needed.
All right. Beth, we spoke with Lee, and your topic for executive session is not applicable in executive session.
Okay, I'll take that.
However, that doesn't mean you can't email the information.
I shall
Um,
take care of it a different way.
Tim, any need for executive session?
I don't have a need, no.
Anyone from board?
Nope.
Okay. With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, we need.
We got executive
Sorry,
session
sorry,
minutes.
yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the executive
Executive session
session minutes as presented.
Second. Have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion, we have a second, all in favor? Let's do it. All right.
In the next
Oh,
month.
boy.